Hey, we're live. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. It is Friday, May 14th. We're creeping to June, and I just remember it being like winter a week ago. And like he said, our shred. Oh my God, here we go. Too much caffeine for Robert already this morning. I think keep that up there, our shred. We'll be here as long as you guys have questions. Post up your questions on anything diet, training, supplementation, nutrition, off topic. The more off topic questions, the better. Last week, we gave away 2 T-shirts to viewers, and we'll be doing. We'll guarantee at least one free T-shirt this week to viewers. So, if anybody wants to win a free T-shirt, we'll give it away either for a random reason or for a best question. So, if you entertain us, we'll might give away a T-shirt. If you have a good question, we might give away a T-shirt. If we like your avatar, we might give away a T-shirt. So just, hey, post on up. So, Robert, how's it going down there in Tejas?
It's getting warmer. It's getting warmer here. We hit 90 degrees a little earlier in the week, and we're going to hit the mid 80s over the weekend. It's all good. Work's been a little crazy this week, but that's all right. Tomorrow we're going to a new brewery with some Sandy's teacher friends from work, and we'll have an enjoyable weekend. So, in addition to whatever else I got to do, all work wise.
So, for those of you actually tuning in on Facebook or that do tune in on Facebook, this is primarily being housed on YouTube, but we can see your Facebook questions, and please post them up. For you, some housekeeping notes for those of you watching on YouTube. If we do not see your questions, we are not ignoring you. YouTube is how would you like to say it? A fickle whore?
Yeah.
A fickle beast. How about that? We're being a little bit more politically correct on Friday. You can post questions, and sometimes we never see them. Robert has a podcast on Saturdays, and I've been trying to post questions for 3 months, and they never see my questions. So head over to Instagram at Ben the Bowerman or at rshred, and you can slide into rshred's DMs. It's not actually rshred; it's a supplement engineer. Slide into our DMs, and we'd be happy to answer your question, or hit me up on email benthebarman@gmail.com. And let us know how you guys are doing, how things are going, where you're at. And if you're new to the live video, don't be shy. Introduce yourself. This is casual. Post a question. Don't feel like any question's dumb. Robert, what's going on? If you guys see something new or interesting going on in the industry and YouTube, post it up. We'll talk about it. We always need good topics. So what's new in the world of supplements, Robert?
Oh man, I did a giant explainer article on turkesterone versus ecdysterone this week. That was one of the major topics that I was a brand had sent me some stuff saying, "Hey, what do you do about this?" And we've been getting questions on this for like 3 or 4 weeks now about turkesterone and whatnot. So I figured I've been wanting to tackle it for a while. A brand came along and said, "Hey, what do you think of this ingredient?" Now, in full transparency, they sell an ecdysterone supplement. And I had no qualms about writing the article because I think ecdysterone is a better ingredient just based on the current body of evidence. So I tried to, display the information in as a neutral way as possible. Obviously, at the end, you say I lean towards ecdysterone because there's actual human research on ecdysterone. There's no human research on turkesterone as of yet, in taken orally and doing all that stuff. So, if more turkesterone research comes out later on, maybe my opinion will change. But as it stands right now, I would lean more in favor of ecdysterone. So that was one of the major projects for the week. Working on some new product pages. I've been part of a formulation team for NutriBio's coming out with a new hardcore line of supplements. I've been working on that. Some of those are going to be starting to trickle out as early as next week. So it's in the final grind phase of that, getting all the product pages and all the ingredients, what of that. And then I've been going back and forth with the manufacturer for the Massive Iron line and getting our pre-workout squared away as far as the ingredients, how we want to do a few things, and if they have the ingredients on hand, because as we've touched on over the past couple of weeks, there are very, very serious material shortages right now, from everything from screw top lids to scoopers to desiccant packets. The cost of caffeine is 5 times what it normally is. Creatine's about 4 times what it normally is. Some manufacturers are saying this will all be cleared up by July. Other manufacturers are saying it's not going to be until October. So there's multiple supply chain issues throughout the industry. But our manufacturer's got a good stock of everything, fortunately for the Massive Iron line, so we shouldn't have any issues thus far.
All right, so we got Darren chiming in, taking massive creatine before my 12:30 workout, made the switch. We appreciate your support. This is Massive Creatine Plus, and we're looking at the possibility of a creatine shortage. Our manufacturer has some. We'd like to get our second batch in. We only have about 40 units left. So if you're interested, I'd love to sell out this weekend so we can get the second batch going. Those of you guys that take creatine, please head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, and check this out. Get you some. It's about $1 a day. It's not just the same old creatine. We have other ingredients in there to help with ATP production. Is that the best way to say it, Robert?
Yeah, it's kind of a comprehensive ATP support supplement. So it's got, creatine monohydrate, which is going to enhance your phosphocreatine stores within inside your muscle tissue. You've got D-ribose, which is a building block. It's a 5-carbon carbohydrate source that does not affect blood sugar. If anything, it has some hypoglycemic effect, so it helps lower blood sugar. It's got some cardiovascular, protective, and enhancing properties as well. But it acts as a building block for the actual production of ATP. We've got Elevate ATP in there, which is a combination of ancient peat and apple extracts. There's some polyphenols in there and other fun little bioactive goodies that help your cells naturally produce more ATP and increase whole blood levels of ATP. And finally, there's Synactive, which is upregulates the activity of an enzyme called citrate synthase, which is an enzyme involved in the production of ATP. So it's been shelved to help clear out senescent cells, which are dead cells that don't really do much anymore, increase ATP production, a whole bunch of other good things from like the exercise and endurance standpoint.
Yeah, so just a reminder, guys, we're not trying to create a supplement empire here. This is a passion project for us, and what we're trying to do is put out the best products in the industry and think outside of the box a little bit. You can see we're not doing creatine blends. Yesterday, Low Blinder put out a video about a creatine blend, and while they're basically going to be pretty much a hotter thing, with a creatine shortage, people are going to be using other forms of creatine. That's not what this is. This is creatine monohydrate plus some other goodies. So don't get those mistaken. Don't get those mixed up. But what we're trying to do is just think outside of the box. Our pre-workout is going to be something that is build your own stimulant level. Instead of having a non-stim and a stim pre-workout and, hey, I only want a little caffeine a day, I need a little bit more caffeine. This is a scalable stimulant pre-workout, and we're not going to tell you how we're doing it because we got some wizardry going on. But is it safe to say it's the first of its kind in the industry, Robert?
I never feel comfortable saying something like that because there are 1,000 companies, and I mean, like, you've got a bunch of fly-by-night companies that may have done something 2 or 3 years ago, but they're not around anymore. So I don't know if I necessarily feel comfortable saying that. I mean, it's something you don't see done every day. If it's done before, somebody please tell me. I'm not sure. I'm sure it has been done, but I couldn't name a company that's done it. A major company that has done it, at least. There might be some little, small company that I'm not aware of. And that's not a slant against the company. It's just there's so many companies in the industry these days. It's hard to keep track of what everybody's releasing every now and then. You brought up a good point about the creatine, Steve, referencing Mark's video that you can start seeing in a bunch of blends. So don't fall for, because a bunch of the companies are going to try to spin this as we have this novel creatine approach. We've scientifically formulated this exact blend of 3, 5, 10, 12 different forms of creatine. It's all bullshit. Creatine monohydrate is still the king of creatines. All of these other companies, in order to keep creatine sales going strong, they're going to start putting all of these different blends together. So just be aware that none of these are going to be superior to creatine monohydrate. They might be equal to, but they're still going to be more expensive. And this is just a stopgap to get past the short-term creatine issues the industry is facing.
All right, before I dive into things, I want to post something. I want to talk about something and see if anybody noticed this, because rarely do things go under the radar in YouTube fitness. Last weekend, Loveliner and Alan Roberts and Carbon Culture did a Rumble in the Borough where they had a fight and raise like, I don't know, like $50,000 for a children's charity. I forget which one it is because I can't remember all the details. But I tuned in to kind of see what was going on because I wanted to see the fight between Kenny KO and Big Boy Cannon because I'm not going to lie. I wanted to see Kenny KO get his nose bashed in. I thought it'd be kind of fun. Or I wanted to see if he could not get his nose bashed in. Hey, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the WWE. Pick your hero, pick your villain. Well, I tuned in and I realized Kenny KO wasn't there. 3 weeks ago, he was on a podcast with Loveliner and Alan Roberts about the fight, and like he disappeared. And I went over to this is Big Boy Cannon's YouTube, and I found out Kenny KO pulled out the week of the fight, the charity fight. So I'm not trying to stir controversy, but what I am surprised at, and I'm just going to leave this here, is that nobody in YouTube covered this at all. A major YouTuber pulling out of a fight the week of the fight, and it's a big charity fight. And he said he had a broken nose or whatever. And I'm not saying he didn't have a broken nose. And I'm not saying, we should see 1,000 drama videos, but it's very, very rare in YouTube world where a major YouTuber, pulls an exodus like this or does something and nobody talks about it. So I'm just curious if anybody else saw that at all. All right, let's get rolling. Stein, what's going on, Stein, in Norway? Gym rat, replacing back squat with belt squat. Your thoughts? Or keep both? The answer is almost always both. Keep both. When we look at hypertrophy, when we look at the long-term road, when we look at getting the most out of our results, the best thing to do is multiple exercises, multiple quality exercises for each body part. If you get tired of the same old grind on back squats, maybe just do one, maybe do two, maybe do a 15 rep set and do belt squats afterwards. Think outside of the box a little bit, but in the long run, I would vote for doing both. What are your thoughts, Robert?
I would say yes, with the caveat that how are back squat? Are you made to back squat? Do you get a good hypertrophy stimulus from it? Is it irritating your low back? Are you having do you have FAI, femoral acetabular impingement, where you start to get this grinding in your hip socket? Some people are made to back squat, some aren't. It kind of really depends on how you're feeling. And I hate using that thing, but this is such a broad question, and we're trying to give a specific answer to an individual. We don't know enough specific information about you, so we have to kind of speak in generic terms. The back squat can be a great exercise for building the lower body. But what's the level of fatigue? Are you getting a good stimulus, or is it just wrecking your joints, your ankles, knees, hips, and low back pissed off at you every time you back squat? Think about those things. And if that's the case, do a form assessment with Steve first. But both can be good quad builders, glute builders, lower body builders.
Yeah. Sorry, Robert. I was just going to say, in the modern landscape, during the last 8 years with the invasion of the 5x5 minimal type of workouts, you're seeing a rise in the question. I'm doing a lot of squats, but my quad size isn't going up. We've kind of moved from the point where we're doing multiple exercises for our quads to where we're only doing one. And that's not a good step forward. I was going to say, I don't think that's a good step forward, but I was being polite. That's not a good step forward. So regardless of whether you do squats or belt squats or whatever, you want to do multiple exercises for your quads. And if you're going to do a big boy like the squat, like Robert says, if you are serious about this, you need to be serious about letting somebody take a look at your big lift, somebody that knows what they're doing. Because I see so many people I respect on Instagram still with shitty squats. All right, Paul, how's it going from Vancouver? And we got J Call 71 from New York. Stan, Norway. And we got Montreal. Robert, do you know any French? Since you got a French word on your shirt.
I do. And New Orleans is a very, very heavily French influence. There's a French Quarter, for God's sakes, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's heavily French and Spanish influence down in New Orleans. So yeah, I know about that much French. I took Spanish in high school. My brother took French. So yeah. My grandma could speak French.
A very interesting thing about the United States that some people might not know that even live in the United States, like at the bottom of the Mississippi River, you have a city called New Orleans, and it's very French-centric, a lot of French heritage and history. And at the top of the Mississippi River, you have Wisconsin, which has a lot of French city names. I was born in Fond du Lac, which is foot of the lake. And a lot of our cities are either Indian names like Chippewa, like they're like a Manitowoc or Winnebago, or they are French. So we have a very big French Indian heritage in Wisconsin. So from the top to the bottom of the Mississippi, there's a history.
We were connected from birth, Steve. That's what it is. It's fate.
Connected. That's the umbilicus. All right. What do we got here? David Potter, I hurt my back doing Romanian deadlifts last weekend. I've been doing this exercise for a year without a problem. This is an exercise I pay real close attention to when it comes to my clients because it's often misunderstood. It is an exercise where basically you want to let the weight move down your thighs, down your leg, while moving your hips back while keeping your lower back braced. And you want to lower it in a controlled manner. Too many people do this like a rapid manner. You want to do it in a controlled manner until you reach a point where you can either feel a good hamstring stretch, and by good, I do not mean extreme because we don't want to spork anything with 300-400 pounds in the hole, or when you feel your lower back wants to break, and at that point, you drive your head up and pop your hips forward. So a common mistake of RDLs or deadlifts in general are doing too many reps. I generally don't have seasoned lifters that have reasonably intermediate deadlifts doing more than 2 sets of RDLs. I'd rather see you doing things like glute ham raises or other hamstring work. Even wide stance, heels elevated good mornings. I've started doing those for hamstrings as well. So it's a lift you really, really, really want to be careful with. Robert, have you done many barbell Romanian deadlifts in your days?
No, I mean, mine's mostly with trap bar, kettlebells, dumbbells, those kind of things, not the conventional barbell Romanian deadlift, just the training apparatus that I have around here and what I tend to gravitate towards are not the barbell ones.
I actually, about 5-6 years ago, moved to more dumbbell RDLs. And I got a video on this channel of me doing a 635 RDL. And, so I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just setting the table that I've done my share of heavy RDLs. But, when you're doing heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, heavy barbell rows, and heavy benches, and all these exercises where you're doing 800 warm-up sets and adding weight to the bar, RDLs got a little bit tedious, barbell RDLs, because you got to go through the same warm-up process. So I ditched those years ago for dumbbell RDLs. Just much easier and takes less time in the old Jimarooski.
Yep.
Yanis 15X production. How to fix a good morning squat? Very good question. A good morning squat, there can be a lot of variables going on. Number one, people believe they have to do low bar squat or else they are part of Satan's posse, which is not true. So, a lot of times what's happening are the knees are inside of the foot angle. Like here's a foot angle and here's a knee angle, or here's a foot angle and here's a knee angle. And you kind of run out of room because your angles are all aligned and you're all ganky, and then you just fold instead of sink. So there's a lot of issues, but the best way to fix a good morning squat is to have somebody that knows the squat start to point you in the right direction. Learning the squat is a process, and we kind of have to do it one adjustment at a time. I do this with my clients. It's a process. It can seem like an arduous and tedious process. It can be fixed easier in person when you know somebody that can teach the squat. But the best way is to hire me as a coach.
Word.
Gravity training. those Olympic dumbbells you recommend in the home gym video, can they load 45? Let me pull this up, okay? Because Roberts, we get a lot of questions. The past year, let me just do dumbbell handles. I've had so many home gyms, so many clients with home gyms, and I'm tired of these pop-ups on these websites. And like getting the power blocks can be pretty expensive.
Oh, especially now.
And I used to recommend spin lock dumbbell handles, right? But then you got to go get standard plates, and that's like plates are way too expensive these days. So over at Titan.fitness, and I have no affiliation with them, but I just love their service, customer service. You can get 15-inch or 20-inch, if you can see them here, 15 and 20-inch dumbbell handles for $89 or $99. That's for a pair. And they work with Olympic plates. You can put 45s on there. If you're going to put 45s, you have to get one of these big old 20-inchers. You have to go BBS, big, bold steel. So, yeah, you can fit 45s on there. The best way I've found is sticking 25s and 10s on there. I mean, you get a couple – you can do rows with 45s.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's going to be really awkward. Like the plates, getting your hand around that and everything, that's going to feel really awkward.
Well, you got to kind of load the 10s first and then the 25s and leave some space.
Yeah.
I've done spin locks with 45s, but the best is to kind of put 25s and 10s on there or whatever you have. But yeah, I mean, if you're getting to the point where you're going to try to be dumbbell pressing, 100 pounds, obviously there's going to be issues with any setup, but number one, this is a cheap option if you have the right amount of plates. Putting two 45s on there to dumbbell bench is going to kind of be weird. So hopefully you have 25s and some 10s, but you can dumbbell row with it. I've never had any issue dumbbell rowing with bigger plates. You can't, I don't pull it all the way to my chest anyway, so. But it is an option, and just know it is available. All righty. You certainly couldn't dumbbell overhead press with those bad boys, but all right. This is Mr. Faz. We did a video before. We've been doing a video each week before me and Robert hook up. And Robert, we talked about the potential of once a month breaking away from the Q&A and for the first hour just doing a free-for-all where we talk, me, you, Faz, and maybe have a guest on every week or once a month where we just talk for the first hour about current events in the lifting industry, talk about things like hypertrophy, latest supplement ingredients, and then we dive into questions. So,
yeah, I'm down with that.
All right, what do we got? Paul Strongman Reed, been sick for 1.5 weeks, and I'm really flat. Need to fill back up. Any suggestions? Coming off a sickness, you might obviously you're a little depleted. You want to make sure you hydrate. You want to make sure you get your electrolytes in. I wouldn't go crazy with the calories, but I might have 2-3 days where you're a little bit over in carbs by 200-300 calories, maybe 400 calories. Get some glycogen in those muscles, get that energy flowing back. So hydrate, electrolytes, maybe a few more carbs, and more sex, and more action movies probably. Robert, anything to add to that?
No, I mean you pretty much touched on everything. I mean the flat, it's not like you lost any substantial amount of muscle, Reed. It's a lot of glycogen depletion, if anything, a lot of maybe some water loss if you were losing fluids out of both ends or something like that. I'm not sure what kind of sickness you were dealing with, but it's just lack of calories, lack of glycogen in the muscles, and there's also just that low level inflammation that you get after a workout where your muscles are just swollen. And so if you haven't trained in a week and a half, all that inflammation is lowered down. Your body's kind of kicked out all the metabolites and all that other stuff. So don't worry about it. You didn't lose anything. Just, eat, sleep, and train.
Yeah. As Hulk Hogan used to say, train, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins. But seriously though, like I'm on a cutting diet right now and I got my calories down to 2,000 a day, and that freaks people out. But I sit all day long, even though I run and lift, and I find to sustain the weight loss I need to eat about that. But why I'm mentioning that is if I go 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row, I eat pretty low carb. I find it helps me lose weight more consistently. So I just eat meats, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats. That's it. But every fourth or fifth day, I have rice and I have some simple carbs because I start to feel flat, and I like that little kick in the old glycogen stores, if you will. And I believe Mark Bell used to do, like a carb refeed once a week on a Saturday. But anyway, the whole point is like you can feel a little bit flat, and getting back in, maybe a few more carbies. Bree from Mongolia, excuse me. I'm gassy, not belching at you, Bree. I ordered a case of these, and not my favorite flavor, and I'm almost done. Only one left, Green Monster.
Our apple?
I don't know what they call it. The Ultra Paradise. I never even looked at the flavor names. This is Ultra Red. That's empty. And Ultra Paradise. All right, what do we got? Sebastian, which foot and hand placement activates the most muscles in a conventional deadlift? You're thinking you're approaching the horse from the tail and trying to poke it in the butthole. Don't think of it like you're gonna get kicked. Foot placement's natural. Don't go wide. Don't force it narrow. Just natural. Maybe toes angled out just a hair. Just natural. And you want your arms basically vertical-ish right next to your legs. Because if you move your arms out, that pulls the torso down towards the bar, and even a half inch of that can reduce leverages. And in deadlift, leverages everything. So a natural foot width, not too wide, with the caveat that tall lifters sometimes feel better with a little bit wider stance. But generally just a natural foot width and hands right next to the legs as you pull. I hope that makes sense. I wanted to say Martian Manhunter, but you threw me off. Master Star Hunter. I want to see a comic book with Master Star Hunter versus Martian Manhunter. Say that 10 times real quick.
And the Master Debater.
All right, Robert, almost said masturbator there by accident. Anything new but not widely available on Sarms. It's not my wheelhouse. And I'm not going to be like Mr. Anti-Sarms. It's just nothing I know of or care of. Do you know anything about the Sarms realm?
I don't dabble in that field much at all, just because the amount of human research on it is not very extensive. Most of those things are still classified as research chemicals, not safe for human consumption at this point. Most of them are classified that, and there are so many dietary supplements that I've got to keep in my brain that I don't have the time or interest yet to dive into the world of Sarms.
I'm going to be real here for a moment, and we don't talk about PEDs or anabolics or TRT on the. I mean, we talk about TRT when those general questions come up, but
yeah,
let's just live in the real world here for a moment. If you're an adult male in his mid-20s and you're lifting hard and you're considering SARMs, go to a legal TRT clinic, and I'm not promoting this. But don't waste your money on SARMs. Go on legal TRT or something. I'm not encouraging that at all, right? I'm not encouraging it at all. But I'm just saying, if that's where somebody's at, that bridge, I would turn an about face and I would pursue other options because, I don't like that money investment. I just don't think it's sustainable or worth it.
No, unless you know the actual compounding pharmacy where these compounds are being made. You have no idea. If you're just buying a bottle off the shelf at some little mom and pop retail store, like they're going into their secret section and behind the curtain and all that, I'd be real careful. I mean, if you're going to spend, those things are overpriced anyway. If you're going to go spend the money on that, go see a real doctor and get something that's actually legitimate, not might be effective, because there's also a common misconception that because these things are called selective androgen receptor modulators, that it's more of like a a tactical nuclear warhead, like an ICBM or something, as opposed to just like an atom bomb that you're just going to drop and annihilate everything. So they're going to be a little bit more targeted in the body. They're not going to cause adverse effects like broad spectrum anabolics, which that's not true. Sarms do have drawbacks. There are dangers with them. They can cause suppression, shutdown, all that stuff too. So there was a while thinking that just because they have some selectivity to them, they're without side effects or downregulation of endogenous hormone production. That's not the case. We know how anabolics work. Those have been extensively studied. So if you're choosing that way, go see the TRT clinic and get the real stuff. Don't screw around with stuff that might be working or that might be really in the bottle.
At least with the TRT clinic, you're getting blood work done and you're getting some monitoring of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And overall, dollar for dollar, yeah, it might be more expensive, but it's a safer option.
Right.
And I just want to remind anybody that we will be giving away at least one T-shirt today to the best comment, or just something that hey, make us laugh, add a good off-topic question. We'll be giving away a free T-shirt, so hang around to the end till we, if you can. And we're joined by our Shred, Robert Shredsketsky, Robert Shredruski, who is also known as Robert Chinetsky.
Sign up for the link. My new cookbook, that's $2.99. Gonna go sign up, $299 for a copy. I'll send it to you along with customized training program.
Greg Doucette put out a video, not hating, just saying, put out a video today where he revealed his new Lamborghini. All kinds of cookbook cash. Those of you saying it's a free market, yeah, it is, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. And God bless them. All them cookbooks bought a Lamborghini. I don't have a Lamborghini. I don't have a cookbook, so in that sense, I got to get a $200 cookbook. Just having fun, kids, not hating. All right, Sebastian, how long should it take to go from a bench 8 reps on 95 to 10 reps? 2 months tops. At that level, let me get out the handy dandy 1 rep max calculator, and we will screen share that and just do some education time. So we have 95, okay, and we have 8 reps. Oops, it's in pounds. That's weird because usually it defaults to K. So that's about 118K. Okay, we bump that to 10, and that's an 8.7K increase. So what is 8.7 times pounds? What is that, like a 19-pound increase? If you think about that, 5 pounds a month would be really, really, really good progress. But, when you're moving up on one weight just on reps, I would probably, if you can do 1 rep a month, that would be really good. That would be excellent. And some people be like, rep a week. Man, if you're at that strength level and you can add a rep a week, you'd be benching like 500 after the year's done. So once a month is a really, really good goal. I personally would like to see that every 3rd week. That would be my goal if I was in the gym. All right, Robert, here we go. Been around forever. And Robert, before we dive into this, and I have no horse in this race, but I just saw it come up. Thoughts on animal cuts, and how would you compare that to what's Lobeliner's Immortal? Because I saw Lobeliner's Immortal on. Here we go. Have you looked?
Animal Cuts is a fat burner. Immortal is a multi.
Animal Cuts. I was thinking of Animal Pack. I'm sorry. Kick me in the nuts, would you?
Sure.
I'll just shut up now. It's your show, Robert. Take that one.
I mean, great. You got your multivitamin. You got your fat burner covered. Have some more energy drink, Steve, of the sour green apple swill you're drinking.
Yeah, I'm swole. Okay, animal cuts, Robert.
Here, I got it pulled up. Let me share my screen. Boop. It's a giant, ugly, ugly, ugly,
That
ugly.
is like a matrix of hell right there. My brain.
Yeah, there's so much shit. Like, all right, in our stimulant complex, Animal usually does like the Animal manufactures their own supplements. They do some good quality stuff. Like the quality of the ingredients is good. This formula, there's so much shit going on there. I don't know how you could tell what's working and what isn't. I mean, starters, stimulant complex, raspberry ketones is not a supplement. Coleus for scoli. I'm sorry, ketones are not a stimulant. Coleus for scoli is not a stimulant. Evodiamine is not a stimulant.
So, Robert, I mean, without diving into 248 ingredients, your knee jerk reaction. This is not the best supplement out there for fat burning.
No, I mean it's going to be it might help reduce appetite and increase your energy levels, subjective feelings of mental and physical energy. I mean, there's some decent ingredients in here, but like ashwagandha root, I can't talk today. The studies on that are using anywhere between 600 to 1200 milligrams a day of a standardized extract. This one is just a generic. We don't know what it is, and it's 300 milligrams of 4 other ingredients that are in there. So magnolia bark's great for reducing stress, but again, we don't know the standardization. We don't know the dosage. Yeah, there's just a lot of blah in here. So it might help with energy and focus, but in terms of actually like burning fat and no.
Yeah, I think
And this is another important thing. Voted best thermogenic vitamin shot, battle all the brands. You ever see something that's voted number 1 on bodybuilding.com or any of these other internet retailers? It's a pay-to-play system. You have to pay a certain amount to even be in contention for the voting. And then usually it's slotted based on sales or something. It's not actually, I mean, there's not millions and millions of people saying, yep, I bought this. This is the best thing I've ever used. That's not how it works.
Robert, I'd like to let everybody know that my mom voted me the sexiest man on Massive Iron Live.
I mean, you didn't have the competition wasn't very stiff. I mean, if Faz was on here with this, you might have had a little bit of
my mom may have voted for Faz, but yeah, there's better products out there, and I would argue, that you might be better with a nootropic, and I mean, with some of those ingredients, aren't they for focus and
yeah, I mean, they have a nootropic complex on there. I mean, I can understand putting some nootropics in that because, look, when you're dieting, you're low on calories, concentration is going to be off. You're going to have a little bit of brain fog. Your motivation to want to do shit during the day is going to be, lackluster for some people. I mean, they've got some of the ingredients they included in there have some decent research behind them. But when you're complex with 86 other things and you're just using generic extracts, you're not listening to what the things are standardized to or how much of those ingredients are in there. I mean, you have no idea. You're pissing in the wind at this point.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to call it like it is, and you guys can feel free to critique my knee-jerk opinion. But Animal Pack built its following on being like, like the posse of 12 monsters that attack you at the same time. They come across as this battery of ingredients that's a super product. Let's throw everything in there. And Animal Cuts appears to be riding on the coattails of that. Like, okay, we have Animal Pack, which has all these ingredients in one. Let's do Animal Cut that has all these ingredients in one. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's exciting until you actually look at what's in it. And it's actually, I would equate it to a 3-year-old's toy box after they clean their room. There's a lot of cool things in there, but it's just a mess and not organized and doesn't make any sense. So,
agreed.
Jose Martinez, how to spot the difference between a small hernia, a displaced disc, a doctor. And I'm not being a smart ass, Jose, but a hernia, aren't you going to have some kind of a protrusion? But you're talking about a herniated disc. That's well out of my league. You got some issue. You need to go see a doctor, Jose. And I'm not being dismissive, but you asking me, a dipshit that lifts, to tell the difference between a hernia and a displaced disc? Nah, that's not our realm. we'd be no better than asking somebody wandering the street corner. Morning from NC, Upper B in progress and listening along. Make it happen. Have a good workout and hope you have a good Friday. Would you listen? Scotland. Are protein farts a thing? Asking for a friend. I don't know about protein farts, but I know some of the sweeteners in some of these things will make you rip one off really good. Like we talked about the complete cookie.
Yeah, the sugar alcohols, or can be a monster. Like the maltitols, xylitols, erythrotols, sorbitols. You have too much of that, man, you are going to be in for a treat.
So outside of that realm, is there anything to like? You get a lot of jokes about protein farts, but let's break down the science of protein farts, Robert. Is there anything like any in-depth research on protein farting?
Just go walk around the Arnold Expo, and you'll see that protein farts are a legitimate thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Farts. I mean, I don't know. I know junk food farts are a real thing.
I mean, a lot of that, the protein farts are usually those are a result of really shitty whey protein concentrates, which have a super high lactose content, and when you ingest a considerable amount of lactose, even people that tolerate dairy really well, you take too much lactose, there's gonna be a rumble in the jungle going on.
Yeah, I mean, my area of expertise in farting, when I was when my daughters were younger, like 8 and 4, I'd have an app on my phone that would make fart sounds, and that would entertain them for days. That's my limitation of my area of expertise, farting apps.
Too much cauliflower rice with other vegetables, that'll do it too. Too much fiber at once.
69 Camaro, going to need more pre-workout in the near future. Hoping to be yours. Yeah, it's probably going to be 3 months at least.
We still got to do flavoring because we've got the costs nailed down, but we've got to do flavoring. We got to do A/B testing with flavoring, and they got to send that to us, send it back. We got to do the back and forth with that too.
Yeah, and we'll do a pre-sale, but we got to make sure we got that nailed down because look, this isn't going to be the best tasting thing in the world because we're looking at you don't want it to taste like ass, but we want it to taste less like ass. This is going to be, the Lamborghini that doesn't, it's going to be the Lamborghini, and then we'll flavor it the best we can.
Yeah.
See, Dave, 2-part question. Who would win hand in hand, Thrawn or Vader? Second part, fleet engagement.
I like this quite. Dave just elevated himself into contention for the free shirt.
Dave, you might win a free shirt right here.
All right, so I'm gonna say, what Vader are we talking about? Are we talking about Vader immediately after he became Darth Vader, when he was still, Anakin, and he wasn't completely, a machine? Or are we talking about, the Vader in Return of the Jedi? Even then, let's go with this. We'll say Vader in his prime versus Thrawn in his prime. Hand-to-hand combat, it's going to be Vader simply because he's also got the Force. Thrawn doesn't have the Force. Vader's also got the lightsaber. Fleet engagement, I'm going to give the nod to Admiral Thrawn on that one. So. All
right, so I'm just going to let Robert have the final say on that.
I appreciate that comment question, Dave.
We're 45 minutes in, guys. We'll keep going as long as you have questions, so post them on up. And if we miss your question, just continue to post or head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you guys want coaching, I don't mention this often, and I keep a pretty full coaching base. I mean, the reason why I never mention coaching is because I'm usually always full, but I'll squeeze in 1 or 2 more. So if you guys want coaching, head over to superlivingtoday.com. I don't do any bullshit. Everything I do is custom. I don't do cookie cutter stuff or give you cookie cutter workouts. We talk on the phone. I'm in communication 7 days a week. I'm on your training, diet, nutrition, exercise form, and everything. I put you on the path. You stay there, and I make sure you get good results. John Drain, single-handed or bent over dumbbell rows. Usually in the modern landscape of home gyms, the way I do this with my clients is I like to have a unilateral exercise in the mix. So I like to have a single arm dumbbell row, and I would highly recommend using Versa grips. So your grip is not the limiting factor on them. And a lot of times, because we don't have a lot of exercise variety or somebody doesn't have a cable station, we might do the 2-arm bent over rows or chest supported 2-arm rows with a little bit more focus and control, really controlling the eccentric and really focusing on the concentric. So I think they're a good complement. I don't like the standing 2-arm dumbbell row. I just find it tedious. If you're in a commercial gym, I'd rather do a seated cable row or machine row. But any thoughts, Robert?
I like the 1-arm dumbbell row. I don't like 2-arm bent over dumbbell rows. If I'm going to do a 2-arm dumbbell row, it's going to be a chest supported row or a seal row or something. It's always felt awkward to me doing a bent over row with both dumbbells. It feels really awkward for me. Maybe it's because I got monkey arms or something. I don't know. 1-arm dumbbell row or do a chest supported, like a prone incline or a seal row. Either one of those works really well, at least for me.
Yeah, it's just always felt uncomfortable. And anybody watching on Facebook, if you're actually out there, don't hesitate to comment. I continue to post these on Facebook, but Facebook really has no interest in social networking anymore. Like you can reach out and find we get 1,500 views on a live video, which is pretty impressive for a small channel. But on Facebook, you're lucky if 1 or 2 people actually get to see it. All right. Opinion on Smoloff Jr. I'm going to be honest with you. For the average lifter, and that's 99% watching, I want you to take Smoloff Jr., put it in a blender with West Side, and blend it up. And that concoction, throw a little green powder in there, maybe a little almond milk. Instead of drinking it, I want you to toss it down the toilet. Most people do not need Smoloff Jr. Most people do not need to ever hear conjugate. Most people need a focused squat program. Like for my clients, when they want to do a squat specialization program, I give them a specific pattern that is twice a week squatting and with good assistance supporting exercises. Smoloff is like, there's this romance about Smoloff. It's short term, it's brutal. It's higher risk because it's very intense and you are overreaching. A state of overreaching is not for everybody. It's for an experienced lifter. So unless you have the seal of approval on your squat and I can look at you and say, this guy is ready for overreaching because they really understand their training, it's really a program most should forget. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
Yes, Smolov Jr. is inferior to Shaw and Shinetsky Sr.
Okay, Robert. Gotcha. What's going on, Chris? Glad to see Chris tuning in. And Stuart Davies, Robert, did you get your fence erected with Danny D? That might win the shirt right there, Stuart Davies.
We go.
Stuart, I'm going to give you a shirt. Email me at benthebarman@gmail.com or head over to Instagram at benthebarman with your shirt size, your address, and your phone number. Because last week, the guys that won the shirt are like, I want a size medium. Like, I need your address and I need your phone, need your email. So that's it. Did you get your fence erected with Danny D?
Yeah, it wasn't with Danny D. It was with Matt S. But that's my neighbor's name. But man, my forearms and hands were for like 3 days. I couldn't even typically I could grab huh?
If you're erecting a fence with Danny D, your forearms would.
So typically, you could just grab things with a single hand like that. My hands were so cramped and knotted up from taking that post hole digger, jamming it into the ground and doing all that. Dude, my hands were.
It's raining double entendres right now. You don't even know. It
was. But yes, the fence has been repaired. It has maintained its erection, its stout, girthy erection for a week. We even had a storm come through with some fairly decent winds, and it was fine. It stood the test. It was up to the challenge.
So, Robert, in all seriousness, did you Google Danny D yet?
No, I have not.
Don't do that, kids. Don't do that. Especially not if you're at work. All right, Danielle 223. Is it better to weigh less than you look? I'm 6'2", 155, but people think I'm 180, 190. The leaner you get, generally, you know, here's the thing, like, it depends on if they're looking at you in person or if they're looking at you on that worldwide inner tubes. Because, like, guys like Athlete X, or a natural bodybuilder that's shredded, they're going to look bigger and fuller because you can see that definition. So in person, 6'2", 155, I'm going to be honest, you wouldn't look big to me. You'd look tall.
That's really lean for 6'2". I mean, I'm 5'11", and I'm 170, 175.
But honestly, in person, I'd be like, I hope that guy moves out of the way because I wouldn't want to kill him walking through him. And I'm not, it's just humor. But yeah, I mean, on the internet, you're going to look bigger being leaner. But you know what? Is it a crime for people to think you are more than you are in some way? No. I used to get in my peak condition, wherever I'd go, people would be like, hey, you look like Triple H. Hey, you look like Wolverine. Hey, you look like a swole Joe Rogan. Hey, you look like Steve Austin. That was kind of flattering. It was kind of a weird world. But people think I weigh less than I do. That's the interesting thing. So anyway, Levi, do vegans need more protein than meat eaters? A very good question. And we also got the BCAA topic tossed in. I would say, Robert, you correct me if I'm wrong, if a vegan doesn't have a good daily plan of attack to get in their aminos, then they would probably eat more. Like, that'd be more of a shotgun approach. Wouldn't you agree? Like, I don't have a plan of attack for my aminos, so I'm just going to eat more.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to consider a few things when it comes to vegan protein sources. So, in isolation, most vegan sources of protein are incomplete. So they're lacking in one or more of the essential amino acids. So typically it's either leucine, lysine, or methionine. You also have various anti-nutrient factors which reduce the bioavailability of vegan protein sources. So something like wheat protein, I think it's got 60% bioavailability. So in these instances, and rice protein's got a lower bioavailability. In those instances, you would have to eat a higher level of protein just to kind of compensate for the fact that your body's not digesting it and utilizing it as efficiently as it would some animal-based proteins. Along the lines of the BCAA supplements, if you're not getting enough essential amino acids, it might be beneficial to supplement with BCAAs. Do you need them on a vegan diet? No, if you're eating enough lentils, beans, nuts, seeds, pea proteins, those kind of things. But if you're somebody that doesn't if you think you might be low on some of the key amino acids, supplementing with an essential amino acids throughout the day could have some benefit.
All right, Mr. B. Butters of Butterville.
Hey, Fiona.
Hello.
Making a appearance.
See, he's looking. Say hello.
Yeah. We gave him a snowboard last night and he got sick. We gave him a little bit, like a fourth of an ice cream sandwich, and he didn't like that too well.
Yeah. So, he's a meat eater. He likes his meat.
He's a meat eater.
There we go.
Yeah, he does. He likes the meat. John Drain. Robert, bulk pre-workout, Transparency Labs is a company?
Yeah, they've been around for a while. Let me pull it up real quick. First off, I hate the marketing because they have a shred pre-workout and a bulk pre-workout. You don't need, that's purely marketing. You don't need any of that shit. All right, here we go. Share. If I remember the label, I remember it's got some good things and it's got some not so great things. All right.
Want me to share it?
Yes. Stop searching for Danny D and click share, please. All right. So we've got, here's the ingredient panel. Basically, all of these, you don't really need them in a pre-workout setting. Vitamin D3, B6, B12. I mean, they support, and B6 and B12 support energy production. D3 and zinc are included in there, and boron are included in there because they support testosterone production. So you could either call this like a test boosting pre-workout, which is another low-hanging fruit grab that a lot of supplement companies are starting to do these days. Citrulline malate, 2-to-1 ratio, so you're getting 4 grams of L-citrulline and 2 grams of malic acid. That's a good dose there. 4 grams of beta-alanine. It's a little overkill. 4 grams of BCAAs, completely unnecessary in the pre-workout. 2.5 grams of betaine anhydrous. That's a solid dose. 1.3 grams of taurine. That's kind of an odd dose. I'd prefer to see like 2 to 3 grams of it. 1.3 is fine. But most of the research shows that you need 3 to 6 grams over the course of a day. Tyrosine at a gram is decent. I do not like this large of a dose of L-theanine in there, 360 milligrams. That basically is going to make you not feel a whole lot from caffeine anhydrous, at least if you respond to theanine the way I do. Now, they're using the 2-to-1 ratio of theanine to caffeine, which has been shown in research to enhance the focus aspects of caffeine, but that's more in like a nootropic productivity setting. In the workout setting, I don't really like that ratio. If you put, that acts more of like a calming agent. I like a really strong kick to my pre-workouts. This doesn't have it. I've used a tub of this pre-workout 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm not really nuts about it. The theobromine is fine. That's going to work in combination with the caffeine to give a little bit smoother, longer lasting energy, and it's got some vasodilatory properties as well. 300 milligrams of alpha size, alpha GPC, so you're getting 150 milligrams of actual alpha GPC. It's a little on the low end. And estrogen is going to enhance the bioavailability, uptake and utilization of all the other nutrients, especially the amino acids in here. But is it a decent formula? Yes. Is it the best? No. Is it something I would be in my top 5 or 10 recommendations for people? Probably not. A lot based on you don't need BCAAs pre-workout. You don't need vitamin D, zinc, boron pre-workout. I don't like the really large dose of theanine either. So.
All right, Robert, and I'm going to show something really strange here. So John reminds, he's got a twin brother out here, and that is Jason Paul Evans Groth. I'm kind of friends with the family of a band called Mongolia Electric Company, Songs Ohio. And the lead singer passed away years ago through because of alcohol addiction. But one of the band members is Jason Paul Evans Groth, and John Drain looks like his brother. Tell me they don't look like they're made from the same DNA.
Could be his doppelganger.
Yep, that's it. All right. Thoughts about getting a PowerTech leverage gym? PowerTech leverage gym. I think I've seen these things, but it's been a while since I looked at it. So let me pull this. Oh, I know what it is. That's a lot of cake for a little bit of shake. You know what I'm saying? Where'd it go now? Good grief. Pop-ups, things, shenanigans. Can we just look at the damn product? You know, why a website would put up pop-ups on specific product pages? Like, hey, I just searched for this product. I'm ready to buy it. Let's put 3 pop-ups up. Sign up for a newsletter. How about you just let me buy something? All right, so there's just an old man rant. This is like a PowerTech. This is a multi-system. And here's the leverage. One of these do-diddly things right here.
Yeah. So it's got a lat pull down. It's got a chest press machine on it.
Yeah. You know, for that kind of money, you can get a lot of equipment that, like, you can get yesterday I did a video on 7 things in my home gym that I found really, really valuable. And you can get a cable station to do lat pull downs, seated cable rows. You can get an incline bench on Titan Fitness for $149. I went through and listed, Robert, 7 pieces of equipment that I bought for my home gym from either Titan Fitness, TDS, or Amazon, and the cost was $920. It included a cable station for $320, an adjustable bench for $149. Basically everything this has, except for like I don't know, does it have a machine chest press or something? But the cost was much. Yeah, it's got like a machine chest press. The only thing you're getting here, that you can't get in the equipment I mentioned is like a machine chest press. You can get all kinds of equipment for the home gym for under $1,000 and save a lot of money and get probably better overall equipment and a better overall workout than this. I'm not a fan. Do you see any benefit to this?
I mean, it's compact, so you had to buy a few different pieces of equipment. This is kind of one of those all-in-one things. I mean, in a pinch, if most hotel gyms had this instead of like the bullshit they do that's got 3 treadmills and a row of pink dumbbells, I mean, I think that would be great. If you are super limited on space, this could be beneficial. If you've got a little bit more space to work with, I kind of like getting the separate pieces.
Yeah, an adjustable bench is $149. Check out my video yesterday. A cable station's $319 for TDS. That's like $460, $470. And basically you got everything you got there. I mean, and you have $1,000 to invest in whatever you want. So I personally would not go this route. All right, Brett Baker. You said that pushing every set shouldn't be done on the squat and deadlift. For the late intermediate lifter, how should they treat the squat and deadlift? That's a very, very a late intermediate lifter is an experienced lifter. An experienced lifter is going to know a lot about how they should be treating each lift. Number one, things are going to be goal specific. What's your goals? What's your injury history? What's your age? Are you training for hypertrophy? Are you training for strength? It's a really, really difficult question to answer. I got some programs I use with clients that are called 3s and 4s. And I believe I made a video on that on YouTube. Let me check real quick. But if you're somebody that is beyond straight sets, let me just mute this tab here so we don't have let me just see if I can find that real quick, because I'm sensing this might be a reasonable starting point, and of course I can't find it.
Is that Mr. Butters losing his shit in the background?
Yeah, anytime Mr. Butters hears somebody, he barks. But hard question to answer, Bart. I have a 3s or 4s program. I got to find the video, and I don't have time to do it right now. But it would be something to try, a method to try. So hit me up maybe on Instagram or email. I'll see if I can find it. What's going on, Carius? Beef McLewis. Never had pre-workout before. Got the C4 Extreme Blue Raz, Robert's favorite flavor. Prickly weirdness through my scalp. Beta-alanine, super sweaty.
Yeah, beta-alanine and the sweats might be a little bit from the niacin flush. But yeah, that's definitely the beta-alanine tingles.
They put beta-alanine base. I would argue they put it in there just to feel like your pre-workout's doing something, but it's absolutely useless, really.
Yeah, it's part of the sensory experience.
Do y'all take any pre-workout? I used to. I used to really like pump and grind. I'm not sure what the magic formula was in pump and grind, but it really worked well for me. But now I just hop over. I'm so old, I don't have any energy anyway, so I'm used to it. So, Robert, how are you on the pre-workout scene?
I mean, yeah, that's part of my job. So I can't. Yes, I do take pre-workouts. I take them. I don't take the same one. Typically, I'm rotating between 3 or 4 in a given week. Just I don't want to take them back to back. I like to try and kind of space them out just to see how they're hitting. Some of it's product testing. Some of it's just I've got a pantry full of pre-workouts and what I'm feeling on that day. Some days I want something to kick me in the teeth really hard. Some days I just kind of want a subtle little tap in the teeth. Depends on how much sleep I've had, what body part I'm training that day, how stressed I am from work, all those kind of things. But yes, I do take pre-workout, and I have no qualms about regularly using it either. Yeah.
All right, Frank, how's it going, Frank? Have a good weekend. Hope things are well in the UK. Yeah, so when putting on the slingshot, you cover a little bit of your elbow. It's hard for me to pull it up on my arms all the way, and it kind of maybe an inch-ish is on the elbow. But, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I get it up there as snug as I can. If your slingshot's a little bit too big, it might be easier to get, but I would have the end of it right about at the elbow.
So you're saying you're having problems getting it up, Steve? Is that what you were saying?
I am 53, Robert. Bart Baker. I really like lifting hard, and it seems the easiest and best thing to do. Periodizing doesn't seem needed for the average 500-pound puller. I mean, a lot of it's program based, and like did I need periodization? Did I need deloads? I didn't like to take them. Looking back, would they probably have prolonged my lifting? Probably. I mean, when you get to a late intermediate stage, taking every 4th or 6th week lighter is probably a good idea for longevity, because strength gains are going to come slower, and it's probably better to work in a little bit more recovery. So, is what it is. Oh, excuse me. Robert, R shred is not to be confused with V shred or
Exactly.
V shred, and a high pitched voice as well. I love listening to the V shred ads. They're like a comedy of stupidity. All right, what do we got here? Jeff Weave. I tried to make you laugh last week, failed, but because my English joke didn't travel well around the globe. No, I think it's because my wife is Australian, and her humor and slang, I'm sorry, England, but it far surpasses what you guys have. I mean, Robert, do you know what a budgie smuggler is?
No?
You
I know what a smuggler is, but I don't know what a budgie smuggler is.
Okay, so let's see. Let's find a budgie smuggler.
Is this an Australian thing?
Yeah, it is, and I'm going to show you why Australian humor is much better than like.
I like British humor, though. It's very dry and witty and sarcastic too, and that's the way I was raised, with a very sarcastic household, so I've always appreciated that. Plus, they sound so classy when they're insulting you too.
All right, where that's not the picture I wanted, though. Where'd it go? Oh, this dude. Why's life got to be so hard sometimes, Robert? You copy and paste the wrong image. Okay, ready? Here's a budgie smuggler. He's smuggling a budgie.
I did not need this image.
Come on. Australians crack me up.
So it's a Speedo?
Yeah, he's look, he's got his VB beer in the background. Anybody from Australia knows the importance of that. So yeah, Australians got the humor part down. They're just, I don't know, you can't beat their humor. Why do a lot of people feel this need to take all these supplements?
They're looking for a panacea for a lack of work ethic.
Well, on the other hand, the anti-supplement crew aren't helping as well.
Correct.
Like, I've been around this industry forever, and Robert, you see it as well. Like, you don't need supplements. All you need is supplements are useless. Like, there is something called science, and there is some value to these products.
Yep.
And like, what I hate on the opposite end is the ignorance. Like, oh, supplements are useless. All you need to do is, punch a hole in a wall and, whatever you like. Nah, it's not like that. Nothing's black or white. It's gray.
Yeah.
And I'm not busting your balls, BB Rock, but like the pushback side that all supplements are useless. They're just ignorant. They're ignorant fools. I certainly don't want you to rush out and spend your money on crap like glutamine or BCAAs, but like creatine has value. It has legit value. Nootropics have legitimate value. There's a lot of, like, go to examine.com, or better yet, go to Robert's Brain, and you can find a wealth of value. So it all comes down to priorities, pragmatism, how much money you have, how much, the cost versus value, etc.
Yeah, and I mean, some people are looking to optimize and eke out every last percentage point of performance, size, strength they can get from their bodies. And BB Rocks, what I'm inferring from the way he's writing it is just kind of saying he's just kind of get like the bare minimum results. And so supplements are for those people that are looking to try and get that extra, 1, 5, 10% that they can eke out, in addition to a really good diet, really hard training, really good sleep and stress management.
No, I'm with you there 100%. Most people can't even figure out how to build muscle efficiently and effectively, and they're not to that point yet. So supplements really, that's like, that's like the person that just like decides to go backpacking or hiking or biking and take up a new hobby. And before they do it, they buy like $3,000 worth of the best equipment and hiking boots and backpacks, and they've not even done one thing yet. I see these types of guys all over the trails when I'm trail running. Like they got the $700 poles and the thing and the $7,000 Vortex boots and all kinds of shit. And I'm like, I got Walmart boots and a cheap backpack with beef jerky.
Yeah, but we also got to consider, like, another way to look at it is like, hey, maybe these people have never done fitness before. They've never gotten into a healthy lifestyle. Maybe the act of simply buying a supplement gives them that motivation and excitement to get started on the right path. And maybe they'll come around and realize they don't need all the supplements. But hey, if it's that initial kick that gets them the ball rolling in the right direction for their life, I mean, I have no issues with that. If it's not doing anything, like your energy drink, Steve, it's got 46 ingredients in it. The only thing that's in there is doing a bunch of caffeine. But if somebody has that feeling like, man, I'm really feeling the taurine and these little pixie dusted BCAAs, it's helping me work more during the day, or something, fine, go ahead. As long as you're not running around saying, like you're some supplement shill or charlatan that's trying to say this is the cure for cancer, this is the cure for obesity and all. As long as you're not doing that shit, I mean, fine. If it's helped you and stay motivated and focus on what you're trying to do, go for it.
Robert's right. I just busted the balls of people, doing this stuff. But Robert has a valid point, and one to balance out my old man anger, and that is I was there myself. When I was a kid, I was taking the animal packs. Yeah. I was taking, I was taking the sublingual things that were going to increase my testosterone, and it was part of the, part of the motivation package. It was just part of my lifestyle. And did it work? Did it not work? Well, it kept me in the zone. It kept me, it was within my budget, and it just, people can look back and call me stupid, but honestly, I don't know without all that stuff if, it didn't have the same feel, the same energy,
Yeah, and the placebo thing is a real thing. I mean, so if let's say that these things are doing absolutely nothing, but you're convinced in your mind that they're having some effect. Maybe that's helping you to push harder in the gym. Maybe it's helping you to stick better to your diet. Maybe it's letting you have better sex life with your partner. I mean, it could be anything, but it's of all the vices in the world, I mean, supplements are probably one of the most benign. You could be spending that money on drugs, alcohol, these other like super toxic substances, or even cars, hookers, everything else. In the grand spectrum of stuff, supplements are pretty benign.
Yeah, I will say this. Robert's right. They're pretty benign, and I'm busting the balls of the guy with the $700 hiking poles. But if it gets him out there and motivated, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Just prioritize is what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah, and as long as you're not turning into like one of these beach body coaches or these MLM hawkers trying to, sell snake oil to people and rip them off, I don't have an issue with it. It's just,
I will say there are some supplements, Robert, and I don't know this specifically, but so I'm just making the assumption. But I'm sure if we picked your brain, we could say there's probably some supplements that have some legitimate value, but they're too costly, to be worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's CoQ10. It's a fantastic supplement. Got numerous cardiovascular benefits, helps support mitochondrial biogenesis, all this other stuff. I wanted to put it in Creatine Plus. The fact was, it's super expensive. We'd have gotten to, like, on its own, it's expensive. The form that you have to get for it to be mixable in powder and remain stable is even more expensive. And I just thought at some point you have to do a cost benefit analysis or trade-off. Would us marking up the cost of the creatine $10 more give you guys, the benefits that you could justify spending, $40 on a 30 serving of creatine? In my belief, no. So there's a bunch of compounds like that. You just got to kind of approach it of the mindset, hey, what am I willing to spend? What am I looking for? Am I okay not getting a tangible benefit, or am I getting a benefit that may be so imperceptible, yet it's still there that you're not actually going to be able to notice?
I'm going to leave it like this and then we'll move on. Top level athletes, top level performers, and micro improvements. So to the average individual, micro improvement might not be a big thing. But in the performance world, powerlifting, NFL, baseball, an inch means everything. A yard means everything. One micro degree of acceleration means everything. It's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah.
It literally is in many, many cases. And even focus, can be micro improvements. If you're in that world where you're actually doing a competitive sport, bodybuilding, powerlifting, micro advantages can be a big thing, and along with the placebo effect.
Absolutely.
All right. I have a question. I know that training hard is very important, but I often face this issue where I do more reps in the first set and I can't do the same amount of reps in the other sets. That's not an issue. That's normal training. You cannot sustain the same amount of muscular endurance and muscular performance. You're going to get fatigued. It's like riding a bike. It's like running. You start out optimal, perfect, 100%, and things deteriorate. You're not doing anything wrong. It's a sign you're doing everything right. That's what you want to see. First set, 12 reps. Second set, 8 reps. Third set, 6 reps. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I talked about this with Faz the other day. I said I have clients that will get concerned because they work the first 2 exercises so hard that the last 3 suck donkey balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way you want it to be.
Yeah, that's why you put the isolation stuff at the end of the workout.
Right. You don't want to not work hard at the beginning just to save stuff for the end because the end's lagging. You want to go in, hit it, and then when you're at you're at 93%, hit it, and then when you're at 82%, hit it. And then when you get down to 5%, you leave the gym.
Exactly. Hit it, quit it, get on with it.
Yeah, and those back off sets, look, the way I worked over the years was, the rep goal system. I'd go into as many quality safe reps as I could. On the bench, I might get 12 the first set, 7 on the second, and 5 on the third. What I would try to do is improve each set. 12, 7, 5. Next week, I want 13, 8, 6. I might only get 12, 7, 6, 1 plus 1, but I've got progress, and that's the way you need to look at it. So you are doing everything correctly.
Yep.
Hello, gentlemen. Thoughts on glycerol? Glycerol,
yeah.
EVP-AQ.
EVP, PAQ.
Is that
Evogen, yeah, Tony Rambaugh's line. Okay, well, props to them for actually doing a liquid glycerol supplement. So often you see all these companies using forms like it's Hydro Max, Hydro Prime, Glycersize, Glycer Pump. Glycerol is an osmolyte, just like betaine, just like taurine, creatine. So what osmolytes do is that they help regulate cell volume, cellular swelling, so they encourage your cells to act like super absorbent sponges, absorb a ton of water, and this will increase cell volume, which has some anti-fatigue benefits, gives some nice water. I call them water-fueled pumps, since it works via different pump mechanism than like citrulline, which is nitric oxide, or nitrates, which is nitric oxide, via a different pathway. So glycerol has been shown in endurance athletes, especially to increase endurance, create a state of hyperhydration, resist the dehydrating effects of exercise, increase stamina, endurance, improve resistance to fatigue. Here's the caveat with glycerol supplementation, though. They're using dosages upwards of 0.5 to 1 gram of glycerol per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 70 kilograms, you need 70 grams of glycerol to get these effects. That's how much glycerol these athletes are ingesting prior to this dehydrating exercise that they're doing outdoors or endurance events. All the supplements that are included in the powders, you're getting maybe between 1 and 3 grams of Hydromax or Hydroprom is 65% yield glycerol. So in the 3 grams of glycerol, that's 3 grams of like hydrolyzed glycerol that you're getting 2.2 grams of active glycerol, which are, it's an entire order of magnitude less than what you actually need. So that's why I'm not a big believer in the powdered glycerol supplements. They're not providing anywhere near the efficacious amount of glycerol you need to create that state of hyperhydration. It's mostly window dressing. The theory is great, but the dosage is so low that I'm not a big believer in glycerol. I'd rather use something like taurine, betaine, creatine, something like that as an osmolyte. Or if you do want to use glycerol, go on Amazon right now and buy a big jug of vegetable glycerin. You don't need to waste the money on this Evogen one. Just go and get vegetable glycerin. It's on Amazon. You can get like a giant, like 2 or 3 pound jug of it for probably the same price as you can get this $45 one that's only giving you 20 grams per serving. Yeah, that's my thoughts on glycerol. It's a good ingredient, but it's so underdosed in every goddamn pump product, intro workout, and pre-workout on the market.
Thanks, Robert. I have a feeling a lot of this is psychological, and people feel if they don't take all these supplements, they're not going to be able to train hard. I don't know. There's it's nothing is usually black or white. It's different for every person. I can tell you just, from a coach's standpoint, every individual is different. Everybody's different. So it's hard to say. Our pleasure, Bree. Thank you for joining in as always. Here we go. Your thoughts on Athlean X, Meccan X joint recovery. I wanted to do a series on his supplements because, I know a lot of people like to hammer on them like a nail, but I'm more interested, are the supplements good? Are they worth some? Did Jeff put together something that is decent? So where is it? Joint recovery? What are we doing?
I don't like this formula. I'm just going to say that. Especially not for $50.
The price point's high.
It's for what you're getting there, it's absurd. Everybody go look right now at Orthogen by Morphogen Nutrition. It's $48 and so much better formulated and dosed than this. It's not even funny.
Where's the ingredients list on his website?
Way down at the bottom.
I know you have to have it on there, but so glucosamine hydrochloride.
It's very, very underdosed.
So what kind of company is putting this together? Because Jeff's not a rocket surgeon when it comes to supplements, and that's not a diss, but that's not his wheelhouse.
He may have a formulator on staff or something like that, or he may be getting the formula from a contract manufacturer. I do this. There are much better formulas for the price, more comprehensive formulas on the market. So I would not recommend this. Go check out Orthogen Nutrition. Orthogen by Morphogen Nutrition is a great one. Animal Flex is also a decent one from Animal. There's a lot. Joint Support XT by SNS is a really good one that I've recommended. I've got a formula that's supposed to be released by Apollon, but with all the material shortages and whatnot, that's been delayed. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just port that formula over to Massive Iron and we'll release it under the Massive Iron label, Steve.
Yeah, that sounds good. Massive Joint. That's what we're going to call it.
Or do we want to do Massive Flex? Because that sounds kind of cool too. Or should we do that for like a muscle building supplement?
Let's people vote right now. Vote right now. Would you like our joint supplement to be called Massive Joint or Massive Flex?
So I thought about that name the other night.
It's a good name. I have a feeling Massive Joint would
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Greg. Sorry, that's a bust for me. A big bust.
I'm gonna see already. We got joint. See, I win. I'm gonna skip forward to this real quick. This is a client. Why 2,000 calories? It's what I've come to based on what's happening with the scale. I used to be able to eat at 3,000 and maintain, but I used to be more. This might sound silly because I'm running, but my running has dipped to an hour every third day. We're kind of in a low spell right now where we're gearing up for a big push. I'm running a lower spell with running so I can get my weight down so I can start to ramp it back up. And I'm running 3 hours a week. And literally sitting all day long is doing nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. I've never worked more in my life. I've never worked harder. My life is get up, go down to my office, do client stuff, make YouTube videos. I don't leave here outside of taking the dog out for a leak. At 4 o'clock, I either run or work out, and then I go upstairs and I go back to work again. So I sit a lot, and I'm at about 2,000 calories, 220 grams of protein, and that's what it's taken for me to lose 2 to 3 pounds a week right now. So it is what it is. I posted that on social media, and a lot of people are like, man, that's super low. Everything has to be derived on what the scale is doing. And is it fun? No. But I still crush my workouts because 90% of this is mental. The first 2 days it sucked. But, now my dinner is 500 calories of protein, 2 huge tomatoes diced up with a Greek yogurt, and Frank's Red Hot. So my dinner is 630 calories. And after like a week, the hunger is gone. I feel like I feel in control of the hunger. And that's one thing people kind of miss out on cutting diets. They think the hunger is going to last forever, but it really doesn't. You feel more in control. So where were we? If doing same volume and intensity on bench for a session, how much more recovery and time does a 60-year-old man need compared to a 30-year-old man? Impossible to say. And I hate to be dismissive like that, but I would say it's more of a question, and Robert, you can chime in on this. Like a 20-year-old, every 20-year-old that comes to me for training is like, I want to do push-pull legs 5-6 days a week, go. And they have much better recovery. They can eat everything. Every time I post my calorie intake on social media, somebody that's 20 years old is like, you're going to die. Like, no, you just can eat 5,000 calories a day right now. So for seasoned individuals, I would recommend probably training every other day. I don't like to go down to 3 days a week necessarily, but it might be okay, depending on your goals, because it's harder to get in the weekly volume you need to build muscle if that's your goal.
Yeah.
So, but recovery, what are the recovery factors? Sleep, how's your sleep? Hormones, how are your hormones? And we could talk about human growth hormone, but as we age, that kind of decreases, somatopause. So it's really individual to individual. I know a gentleman that is in his 70s and has eaten clean his entire life. Clarence Bass, the author of the books Ripped, his hormones are normal. Me, I'm 53. I can run 10, 12 hours a week, lift 3 times a week, and my recovery is fine. So a lot of it's individual. Robert, any thoughts in general?
You touched on everything, Steve. That's there's nothing else for me to add. Sleep, eat, take your vitamins. Hulk Hogan, words are timeless.
Carb loaded a bit yesterday and more of the same in my home gym now, bending the bar. Have a good workout, and I hope you have a good weekend as well. Any benefits to a massage gun? At first, I read this as a massive gun. I was getting excited. Robert, do you use a massage gun? I don't.
I have never used one. I mean, it's going to be as effective as getting a massage or doing some kind of other self-myofascial release. It's more of a preference thing. Do you have the money, the time, the interest in doing it? I mean, it's got a purpose. Is it some life-changing thing that some companies are probably trying to market it to be? Probably not. The benefits are overstated. I mean, is it cheaper than going like long-term costs? Is it cheaper to do that or have like your partner, your wife, girlfriend, husband, sister, cousin, whatever, do that to you than going to a masseuse? Yeah, probably so. Do you find benefits in it? I don't know.
All right, Robert, thoughts on Mountain Ops supplements?
I pulled up their pre-workout called Yeti, which I like the name. The formula sucks a big Danny D.
Big Danny D. Yeah, they got a lot of products, so they got some cash. They got some cash behind them. They got some cash investors. Let's just say that.
Yeah, the pre-workout. Here's the pre-workout: 5 grams of L-arginine already. We're starting off with shit. 1 gram of L-citrulline, 2 grams of creatine monohydrate, 1 gram of beta-alanine, 400 milligrams of glutamine, 200 milligrams of caffeine, and then a bunch of vitamins and minerals. No,
it's crap. What these guys are doing is, I would call them, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, I would call them a brand strong supplement company, in that they're probably marketing to the outdoors person who's active and works out, and they got cool supplements called Yeti or whatever, and it's not very good.
No, that just based off of that is really, really, really not good. I'm looking at their joint formula right now. Man, it's
Hot Ignite, ammo. You can kind of you can kind of see what they're doing here.
Yeah, they're going for a lifestyle, and they're playing more on the messaging and the lifestyle than the actual quality of the products.
Yeah, which is a shame. I mean, that's how you can really stand out in this industry, is be a lifestyle brand with actually quality products, because too many lifestyle brands are like, what can we do to make money while we're
exactly. Ghost Inspired Nutraceuticals, both of those are great lifestyle brands that have quality formulas behind them.
Robert and I have a lifestyle brand called Massive, and it's a lifestyle for people who want to live massively, like best in every possible way. That's our lifestyle, and support the little guys. Here we go. Samuel Lee. Hey, big hairy ugly dude. How does 1 or 2 nights or really bad sleep affect muscle growth? Not much. I mean, you want to have the best sleep you can, obviously, but the body, if you're going to train hard, is pretty darn resilient. I mean, I trained a lot of years with small children and not a lot of great sleep. And, being in the military, I didn't have a lot of great sleep. The body's pretty resilient, but 1 or 2 nights a week, bad sleep, nothing at all. If it's a consistent problem, you need to really take inventory of your life. Robert, at what point would you take what would you consider bad sleep? Like, I know it's person dependent, but and how many nights a week would you consider bad sleep to be an issue?
I mean, if you're sleeping poorly, I would say more than 3 nights a week. Like, you're spending more days with shitty sleep than good sleep. There's some issues there. There's some other lifestyle factors weighing on you, either consciously or subconsciously. It could be work stress, life stress, relationship stress, financial stress, poor nutrition or poor nutrition choices, having caffeine, alcohol too late in the day, those kind of things, nicotine, all of those kind of things. And while marijuana, I know that's getting a lot of hype for helping people take the edge off, that's actually shown to disrupt deep sleep, which is kind of the most important sleep to get. So yeah, there's a lot of factors there, but if you're spending more often than not, you're having bad sleep, there are several major issues.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
Brian Fish, 007. Work schedule becomes insane, and there are a few months a year where I may be able to get an hour or lifting 3 days a week. That's fine, man. An hour, I can do a lot in 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
When you hit those schedules, the main thing to do is not quit. You don't have to go balls to the wall 12 months a year, but just know during those times, maybe you back off to 2 sessions a week, do the bare minimum to sustain. Maintaining muscle is easy. It requires a minimally challenging effort. So, if you can still progress during those times, great, but it's okay to pull back. You're not going to lose muscle. I'm pretty busy today. Can I split my chest back workout to 2 different parts of the day? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
No
definitely.
harm, no foul in that.
Nope.
You advise building a hypertrophy program knowing it's You advise building a hypertrophy program knowing it's not ideal. I'm not really sure.
He finishes up his comment a little bit lower down. There's if you skip down like 3 or
Oh,
4.
yeah. Okay. That's the problem with YouTube. Given these challenges, how would you advise building a hypertrophy program knowing it's not ideal? Well, if you can train 3 days a week, probably an upper lower with four workouts. So you have upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B. Rotate between those 3. You get upper A, posterior A, upper B week 1, posterior B, or whatever. Just follow the cycle, and you can do a lot in an hour. So that's probably how I do it. I got plans on here on YouTube talking about my upper lower split variation. And I got books with it as well at superlivingtoday.com. Tons of 3-day workout variations. So if you guys want workout variations, you can get a lot of workout information for a very small price. So check
Complete with all the pinky twists and nipple twerks that you need.
Nipple twerks and pinky twists and teacup laterals and all that kind of stuff. Can someone be overtraining without ever feeling sore?
I don't think so. It sounds like you're verging in like junk volume territory.
That's like the mushroom is a duck meme to me.
Huh?
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Or whatever the thing is. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Hold on. See, Robert, you're getting so educated. Last week it was Danny D.
I don't spend enough time online, apparently.
Okay. Classic meme. Goats are like mushrooms. If you shoot a duck, I'm scared of toasters.
What does that even mean?
Right. That's what it's kind of like. Can someone be overtraining without ever feeling sore? You can have different systems that are taxed.
I'm
like
so confused.
say that's what people would post when somebody posts a nonsense comment. But I'm not saying this is a nonsense, but overtraining, like, can you feel fatigued without feeling sore? Yeah, super fatigued.
Yeah, it could be like systemic fatigue, and I think that would be more under recovered than technically overtraining.
There's a lot of different systems in the body that can be overworked or overtaxed or overpushed without you being sore. But overtraining, come on. I mean, literal, like what we're thinking of here, overtraining, it involves a lot of hard work. And if you're working that hard, the question is, and the reason why I posted this meme is it doesn't matter if you're sore or not. Like, what is it? Can you be overtraining without feeling sore? What does it matter if you're sore? If you're overtraining or feel overtrained or feel depleted, you need rest, whether you're sore or not. That's kind of what I was getting at. So if you feel overreached, if you feel too far gone, then take a break. I can run to the point where I need a day off and I don't necessarily feel sore. So yes, I guess the answer would be yes. Any recommendations for adjustable benches? You are a day late and $1 short, sir. Check out my video yesterday. I made a whole video about this. Titan Fitness has an adjustable bench for $149. I use it in there, my big fat ass, and it holds up great. So 100% recommend. Fast, thanks for the shout out. When we do our next monthly live, I'm even consider shaving. No, Robert's the only one that gets to shave. He shaves his entire body before every live.
Faz, you need to be having a tea kettle with you though to complete the whole British thing, man. You need a cuppa.
A cuppa. Oh my God! Don't say that word.
Yeah, I've never understood that too. Well, until I started watching some British TV shows, like the original Great British Baking Show, like the original one that had Paul and Mary on there, not whatever the new bullshit is that Netflix has done, the old PBS ones.
We just started watching that new show on Netflix.
Go back and see the old ones when it had Paul and the old lady Mary, and it had Sue and what was the other girl that did it? That was her like the narrator, the hosts. Those were the good episodes. Fuck the new stuff.
Well, we got a bookstore, which is blocked on the road on the downtown area where I live. That's also a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not bashing on the bookstore, but like every other thing they post on social media is come get a cuppa. I'm like, I'll tell you where to stick that cuppa. Ernesto Sanchez, how do I get my abs to pop out? Lose that blubber. Robert?
Yeah, diet's going to play a role. You got to get lean enough to make the abs pop out. But besides that, I mean, you can train the abs like any other muscle group, progressive overload on it. You can do some weighted cable crunches if you're trying to actually hypertrophy the actual abdominal, like the 6 or 8 pack muscles that you're trying to, I'm assuming those are the ones you're trying to get to pop more. Yeah, do some weighted cable crunches, hanging leg raises, progress those, add reps or weight over time, and train it like you would any other muscle. You got to add weight and reps over time.
The big thing, and we've talked about this before, to get lean, you're going to have to lose a lot more weight than you think. A lot. When I'm working with a client and they want to kind of see an outline of a six-pack, I'm like, I don't necessarily tell them because I don't want them to get micro-discouraged, or have any microaggression, right? 2021 microaggression.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Aggressive with me. I said the pink-haired twat,
Can we go back to 1980s, please?
Yes.
I missed the 80s.
Being microaggressed.
Even the 90s. I'll even take the 90s and the early 2000s, man.
So you remember when punk rock and rock used to be society, like don't listen to leaders, fuck everybody, like Kurt Cobain, and like all these twats all of a sudden turned into teat suckers. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, when I'm dealing with a client, I know they got to get a lot leaner than they think. I don't tell them that because I don't want them to be I don't want microaggression. But like, if you head over to Instagram, my last post at Ben the Barman was from a friend, Jason, and he competed in natural bodybuilding, and he had to get down to I think he was like 163, 165 at 5'8", 9". You got to get a lot leaner and lighter than you think to get them absors to pop out.
Yeah.
All right.
We already answered this.
Please let us know in the comments if you have been microaggressed today. Probably by me. In a limited time environment of maybe 3 days a week. We already did that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you recommend loaded carries? Everything has to have a purpose in my world, and I'm old school, right? So my world's hypertrophy, muscle building. Loaded carries are fine. They can provide time under tension for your traps. And a loaded carry is a form, basic human function. I don't like them. I'd rather do shrugs. If you want to do loaded carries, God bless you. Just make sure they're challenging and there's some form of progressive overload. And just ease into them. You don't want to be carrying around a ton of poundage and, torque your calves. Just let your body adapt. One thing I hate is when somebody's going to try one of these things and they go out and they just load up the maximum amount of weight. And, it's like a Rocky Balboa montage. Just slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So speaking of fighting films, I finally watched $1 Million Baby. Have you seen it?
I think I saw it like 15 years ago. If it's movies that old. I don't remember much about it except, I don't want to ruin the movie, but I remember a certain part of it.
I think, well, you don't have to ruin it because it's like 20 years old. But, the female fighter gets cheap shotted and gets paralyzed, and Clint, honors her wish to help her take her own life. So,
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, Pina, wake up, Pina. You can do it. Yeah, we enjoyed it. So what do we got? Wrestling Mount Rushmore. Thank you for your support. All right, so Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Man, how are you going to do this?
Undertaker, Mankind, Kane. I don't know any of the wrestlers from like the past 20 years. I kind of tapped out after the Stone Cold Rock era.
Mankind. Man, there's so many good wrestlers.
Bret Hitman Hart, Randy Macho Man Savage. I mean, there's a lot.
I don't even know where you'd start with this. I mean, you start back in the classic era and move forward. And like you got Jesse Ventura, back in the AWA.
Yeah.
You got like obviously Ric Flair. And you start to move forward and like you got 20, 30 people that could be up there.
Would you put Vince McMahon on there since he's kind of the guy that really rocketed it up to the level it's at?
So must-haves, okay, must be up there. We got 20, 30 guys that could be up there. Must be up there, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Must be up there. So beyond that, you're like Stone Cold or The Rock or Mankind or The Undertaker. And then you start to jostle for position. So I would say Hogan and Flair have to be up there. Not my favorite two wrestlers, but I would say they have to be up there.
Yeah, for what they've done for the sport. I think McMahon's got to be up there too.
And McMahon, yeah, you really, I mean, McMahon is a sport. Really.
Yeah. It's like saying, does Dana White belong on the UFC Mount Rushmore? I would say, yeah, he's got to be. He's the guy that built it to what it is.
So if you got McMahon, Hogan, and Flair, who are the other two? I mean, do you have an equal iconic figure? The Rock was good, but The Rock was brief.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant is legendary, but does he belong up there?
Right.
No.
Undertaker, I would say Undertaker's is in the running for that probably.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Undertaker being up there as much. I'd probably
That's more of like the longevity play. Like he's been around so long, does he get it just because he's, been around forever?
Yeah, I don't know. The modern guys, I don't know. That's a tough one. So outside of Hogan, Flair, and McMahon, who are the other two you'd put up there?
Stone Cold was my favorite growing up, so I have a soft spot for Stone Cold. That was my favorite, so I would put him. Does he rank among the top 4 guys to ever do the sport?
So here's what I'd say. If I was voting, I would have Hogan, I would have Flair, I would have McMahon, I would have Austin, and I would have Mankind. And Mankind's Mankind and Austin can be debated, Rock, Undertaker. But I think as like icons and people that really impacted the sport, like Mankind changed the sport, into the hardcore,
jumping off the cages, breaking through tables, all that's crazy shit he did.
Yeah, and Austin is bigger than life. The Rock is, but the Rock was entertaining, but it's got to be Austin. Austin versus The Rock. It's got to be Austin.
Yeah.
All right, Jose. Sean, tell us your relation with Stoic philosophy. I use Marcus Aurelius to wake up in the morning. Saw you follow the Daily Stoic. I follow a lot of Stoicism on Instagram because it grounds me and help me focus on my priorities in life. Because a lot of times in the modern world, we wake up in, you can be very reactionary. Like, what the fuck is this idiot doing? That's like, you can't go anywhere without a world of stupidity, and just stupid comments and uneducated. Like on a daily basis for me, I get tons of people that comment on videos that don't even watch it, and it's like, oh my God, could you please do the courtesy of at least watching it? Like if I mentioned Athlete X in a video, people would respond without even watching the video, assuming positive, assuming negative. He's the greatest ever. I'm glad you did this video. He's the worst ever. What are you supporting him for? You're just a hater. You're just, whatever. So why do I gravitate towards Stoic philosophy? I think it's classic. A little known fact, but I really had a passion for philosophy and world religion when I was in my 20s, one of the areas I love to study. And I still consider that passion a passion of mine. Not that I am religious, but I've always been interested in how mankind views their bubble. So I've studied everything from the Eastern philosophies to Stoicism. I've read the Bible from cover to cover probably 3 times, and the highlighting in that is probably insane. I mean, literally. And I've read other books as well, just to kind of see how, because like when I see a Christian on social media, I don't just want to say, okay, there's a Christian and I'm going to react like everybody else. I want to understand what's going on, what their view is. And I think I've learned so much from studying world religion and philosophy. It's helped me be a better person invariably, if that makes sense. But Stoicism is like a basic grounding. It's like a basic grounding. And I just find myself gravitating towards that, every day to ground myself. Buddhism, is a little more vaporous for me. Not a rip on Buddhists, but I just find Stoicism a little more pragmatic. So, all right, Robert, what's your take on Stoicism? Go. 3 words or less. Chicken pot pie.
Yes. I haven't messed around with any kind of philosophizing in years. So I like Marcus Aurelius and his writings, but I haven't dabbled much in the worlds of the philosophizers.
All right. So how to deal with people who still believe that bodybuilders, powerlifters are, you pull the Stoicism card. Who cares? I'm not being disrespectful to you, Giannis, but who cares? People believe all kinds of stupid shit. Hey, I like studying baseball statistics. It's just a pleasure, a passion of mine. And some people think I waste my time. And no matter what hobby you think, somebody's going to think it's a waste of time. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. That's a waste of time. What you do with your time is nobody's business. Being alive and a sentient being, it comes with the ability to process nuance and difference, whether that be painting or art or classic literature or statistics or pondering who is better, Vader or whatever, or which wrestler is deserved. That's the brilliance of life, to be able to have these discussions. And people that are like, oh, that's just dumb, or that, fuck that. Fuck that person. I mean,
yeah,
really. Robert, go.
I was going to say, there's certain professions have stigmas with them and stereotypes, and that's just kind of part of what it is. Who cares? Just you don't be defined by the stereotype and just live your life. Fuck whatever the people think. If you're strong enough in your convictions and secure enough in the way you're of living,
be relentlessly unapologetic.
Yeah.
Get up, do what the fuck you want to do that day, and go to sleep. That's it. That's life. Until your days run out. Thoughts on Phenibut?
Synthetic GABA analog. Super powerful for knocking you the fuck out at night to go to sleep. It can be highly addictive, can cause withdrawal symptoms, can actually cause insomnia if you become addicted to it itself and you start ramping up the dose. It does have a high tolerance buildup as well. Use it sparingly. It's technically not a dietary supplement, and it is a prescription drug in Russia. You can still find it here in supplements in America, because we're the Wild West. Yes, it's really effective and really good. It does a hell of a job of knocking you out when you want to go to sleep. But we use it very, very carefully. I probably won't put it in any sleep aids that I do formulate just because it's a gray area ingredient and most things are getting cracked down on it. And people are just dumb when it comes to using supplements. They think if a little something works, a whole lot more is going to be a whole lot better. That's not really the case. Use it if you do very judiciously. Don't use it a bunch of nights in a row, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week for when you absolutely have to get to sleep. Or you just gone for like a week on end with poor sleep, and that'll help you, stay knocked out for a good 8, 10, 12 hours.
Thanks, Robert. Just a reminder, best question or even a random question or comment will win a t-shirt. I think we've given away one already today. Davinsky E. Feeling incredibly fatigued for the last week, maybe too much. Volume, I don't know, 4 days a week, 2 days cycling since January. Do I need to apply for coaching to get a quick working assessment? Too many variables, but fatigue management's part of exercise. So, there's going to be periods where your body's just not up for it. Like you wake up and you slept good, but you feel crappy. Or you ate good yesterday and you just feel off. There's some microcycles in the body that there's no way we can figure out. But the best thing to do is just listen to your body. And that's why I'm not a big fan of planned deloads. Take a few days off when you need it. Unplug when you need it. Become one with the fatigue, So sometimes we tend to overthink these things. Like, I feel tired, I'm going to plan a week off. Nah, just take a day or two off and come back and reassess. Sloth Swim. Almost a free t-shirt for that one if we had an avatar. Thoughts on lifters that neglect OHP for building shoulders and rely on bench and usually front laterals and side laterals. You want my honest opinion? They're dipshits. Robert?
There we go.
I mean, this is like the plague of the bro gyms. I'm going to do some force rep benching and some front laterals and maybe some lat pull downs and some bicep curls. And that's my workout on Monday. And I might come back another day that week.
What about partner assisted and resisted force negatives on side laterals? I mean, that could get a mean pump.
Yeah, okay. mean pump. Make sure to do the teacup lateral. I don't have much thoughts on that. I mean, that's why most people don't get results. They don't train everything as hard as they train their chest or biceps. You gotta have balance.
Yeah, and you don't have to be relegated to just the barbell overhead press. You could do overhead, dumbbell presses. That works really well, especially if you're somebody that doesn't deal well with like the fixed path of a barbell. The dumbbells allow for a little bit more. You can find your own individual snowflake path for getting the weight overhead. You could do pike presses. You could do handstand push-ups. You can do what was the shoulder press that you do on the machine? You could do landmine presses. I mean, there's a bunch of good options.
I will say this. Don't tell me you're passionate and enjoy hypertrophy if you don't enjoy working the body as a complete unit.
Yeah, and you could even do like a really high incline press. I mean, it doesn't have to be straight like 90 degrees straight overhead. If you do a high enough incline on like a 60-degree incline, you're going to get a bunch of front delt activation there too.
So no, I don't want my statement to be misinterpreted. I'm not saying you have to love to work every body part, but anybody that truly loves hypertrophy appreciates the balance of working the body as a whole. Do I love working biceps? No, but I appreciate it in context and I don't avoid them, right? So, there's a difference between training and fucking off in the gym. And anybody that neglects major areas like that, they're just fucking off in the gym. They're not going to get results. God bless them. They're moving, whereas most of the country is just at home right now trying to figure out what to do with Uber Eats while you guys are watching a fitness channel. God bless you guys. Stay strong, stay focused. Some exercise better than no exercise. Do I hate the bros because they don't train like me? Hell motherfucking no. I'm just glad they're in the goddamn gym in this day and age. To be honest with you, that's my opinion. Are you guys Canadian? No, I'm not Canadian.
No, I've actually declared war on all of Canada.
We're going to war with Canada. We're invading Canada.
Stealing all their maple syrup and great hockey players.
Man, I'm going for the poutine, motherfucker. I'm going for the poutine.
You're ruining French fries by doing that shit. Ruining
Dude,
French fries.
gravy, cheese curds. I'm from Wisconsin.
Gross.
Gravy, cheese curds, GTFO, Robert.
All right. Bye. I'll see you next week.
Hey guys, any advice for home gym calf training? Oh, we got a big R. Yeah, calf raises with a barbell. The soleus, okay? This is one thing I have for my dangerous home gym clients that want good calf results. I have them focus on seated calf raises with a barbell. Yes, you can put a towel on your legs so you don't get hurdy-wordy. But you want to do controlled up and 3-second down for about 10 reps, 2 to 3 sets, multiple sets a week. If you do this and practice progressive overload and get that time under tension, the clients I've had do this have actually experienced pretty good results. Robert, do you know what the soleus is? Have you ever been to that planet?
Yes, it's on the outer rim, isn't it?
Be careful saying the word rim. All right. Thoughts on cookie cutter programs? There's starting points, but starting points are not end points. And no matter any program is basically a cookie cutter program. Their starting point, but the devil is in the details in evolving a program based on the specific needs of the lifter. Any thoughts, Robert?
You can check out my cookie cutter programs for $8.99 on supplementengineer.com.
No, $89.99. That's step up your desk.
No, it's $899, not $8.99. This is the premium package, hand-tailored, crafted.
You're not quite at Greg Doucette level, $1,000 per.
I'm going for the discount play, man. I'm going for volume.
Okay, you're undershooting Greg Doucette, trying to capture his market. I see. Hey, R-Shred. I've been wanting to try out a nootropic. Do you have any recommended? Out of the box, Robert.
I have a bunch of, if you're somebody that's never used nootropics in any way, shape, or form, I recommend starting with single ingredients first. I don't really like turning people onto like a full-blown one because then you have no idea what ingredient in there is actually providing any benefit outside of the caffeine that's waking you up. Because you look at most complete, like fully built nootropics, there's between 6 and 12 ingredients in there. You have no idea. So that's why I typically like to start people on 1 or 2 ingredients. And that's why I offer the nootropic consultations on the website, is because most people don't know where to start. Some initial compounds that you can get started. I'm not saying you have to go and buy a consultation if you want to, but some initial things to try with. You could do alpha GPC. Start off with like 300 to 600 milligrams of that. You could start off with L-tyrosine, 1 to 2 grams of that. Or CDP choline is a really cool 2-in-1 nootropic. The front half of the molecule, the cytidine, converts to uridine in the body, which has some really cool effects on dopamine receptors. And the back half is choline, which is going to play into acetylcholine. 300 milligrams, 250 to 500 milligrams is a really good starting dose for that. Acetyl L-carnitine, really good for exciting neurons, also modulates a couple of things like dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. It's got some really good neuroprotectant properties. 1 to 2 grams of that split across 1 to 2 dosages a day. And rhodiola rosea, that's another good one. That modulates all the different neurotransmitters in the body. So if you're feeling a little overstressed, it can kind of bring you back down. If you're feeling a little low, it can bring you up. It helps also with pre-workouts. It helps kind of not make you feel too overstimulated. Might be an upcoming ingredient in a soon-to-be-released pre-workout. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to give anything away. Yeah, I love that ingredient. So I would always recommend starting with single ingredient nootropics, running those for a few days before you start getting into the more comprehensive stacks. And if you do want to get into that stuff, well then shoot me a message and we can work out something.
All right, thanks, Robert. Wade, tried the 1 and 1/2s you talked about in your latest video on shoulders. Absolutely made them pop. What I mentioned, Robert, is something that nobody ever does, and that's 1.5 reps. So basically, I said, okay, we're all doing the compound movements. On overhead press, try the 1.5 rep where you press up, lower down here, press up, and lower all the way back down. You're going to have to lighten the load a little bit, but it will kick you in the chalupa, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And it's just a fun variation.
It's a really good way to torch the legs, too, on Bulgarian split squats if you're limited with home equipment, too.
Danielle, thoughts on using an X as lifting motivation? Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things you'll see is like when people get out of a relationship, it's like entering Rocky Balboa movie. Like it's like the beginning when he's down and out and he wakes up and he's running in 5 in the morning. All of a sudden, he wins a championship fight. One of the things you notice is when people exit a relationship, they tend to thrive. And when they enter a long-term relationship, they tend to get stagnant and fat and lazy.
Yeah.
That's just kind of life. So use it, man. Use it. Don't obsess over the person because that's a little bit, hashtag weirdo. But yeah. Robert, have you ever used an X as motivation?
Yeah. No, because by the time I really started getting serious about training, I had already been married. So no.
Yeah. So
if anything, it's to I've always just enjoyed like Taekwondo. I never did it because anybody else. I enjoyed the process. Same thing with training. It's always been something that I've just done because of intrinsic motivation, not because I'm trying to give a middle finger to somebody else.
Yeah, the thing you got to understand is like if somebody hurts you, whether it's in a relationship or a parent or somebody at work, if you never stop thinking about it, you're still allowing that event to control your life and your day and your time and your mind. And that's a choice you make, right? Mm-hmm. It's very, very bad that this person hurt you. But if you're going to still be in that zone where you're thinking about it 3 years later, that person not only hurt you, but they own you. So something to think about.
I think like the occasional, if you like, do whatever you need to do to get you in the gym. And if it's a one-off thing, like, hey, this person really fucked you over and you want to just, if that's the motivation to get you going that day, I don't think it should be something that motivates you constantly 24/7. I think in that instance that there's some deeper issues there that need to be resolved.
Don't let anybody own you. My max bench is 245, squat 380, deadlift 420. So we got like 1045 total. Is it time to move on from starting strength? Dude, you're on the Massive Iron channel. It was time to move on from starting strength in 2016. It is.
I knew that was coming.
Come on, dude. I mean, seriously. You need to go over to superlivingtoday.com and get on one of my programs. It is time. It is time. It is Massive Iron time. It is time to move on. Like any program is a decent program, but what? And I'm not being hard, Chris. It's just humor. It's humor. But in my message box, a lot of times on Instagram, people go, "What do you think of me using starting strength?" I'm like, "What do you think of you using Massive Iron?"
There you go.
So I got tons of great programs. And I have a 5x5 program that's perfect for you. If you like the 5x5s, if you want something different, I have great upper lowers. I have a whole wide variety of programs. And programs are just starting points. But one of the value you get from me is I'm not going to put you on one train tracks, kick you down the path, and say if you're not following it, you're a fucking idiot. Because that's not coaching, no matter what the coach says it is. So you get the benefit of me helping you. And you get the benefit of something that's power building, not just barbell focus, because barbell only is not the best for hypertrophy. It's not. It's simply not. And 5x5s are not magical. Yes, they work. Will creatine affect decreasing levels of myostatin have? Will creatine's effect on decreasing levels of myostatin have a noticeable effect?
Not to any meaningful degree, no.
Okay. Is it true that creatine can make people lose hair? No.
Nope. Yeah, these are things where like the mechanisms, going back to the myostatin thing, it's something that's one thing that supplements I enjoy is different mechanisms but seeing what happens in cell cultures, rat studies, things like that is really cool. But when you extrapolate it to somebody taking it orally and what happens in the human body that way, no. I mean, if that was the case, everybody that was taking creatine would rival the levels of myostatin inhibitors, pharmaceutical drugs. We'd all look like Kai Green or Big Ramy or something. No. Although you want to look up something cool, go check out there's photos or videos of cows on myostatin inhibitors. Man, get some freaking ripped cows.
Ripped cows.
Yeah.
Why don't people wear lifting gloves anymore? Because it's hard to find a matching purse, Robert.
That's it. There we go.
Well, number one, if you like gentle, soft hands, I'm not judging, but I don't like the feel, and I can never find a purse that matches. And honestly, I know it's just man humor. Like somebody's gonna get triggered. It's just humor. It's just humor.
You just microaggressed a whole segment of people.
Your microaggression. Microaggression.
I mean, it also reduces contact with the bar or whatever else you're doing, so you're losing some force right there. I mean, there's some force loss right there too in the padding.
I don't know. I just don't wear gloves. I mean,
no. It's the mark of a man. You get calluses on your hands.
Toxic masculinity. I'm feeling I'm doing things right, yet my weight is not really moving. You got to drop calories and you got to look at food choices, man. I mean, the thing is, like, food choices are everything, and you got to get away from you got to eat meats, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats. Right now, you just have to. There's no processed buns. There's no French fries, and you got to have somebody. You got to continue to take pictures of your meals so I can check out the sizes, because most people underestimate portions. It's just really easy to do. I'm not saying you're bad at estimating, but you need a second set of eyes. And if you're not losing weight at 2,000, then you need to try 1,900. If you're not losing weight at 1,900, then you need to try 1,800.
Yeah.
It can be very frustrating and very hard until you find that right level. Like for me, Robert, I've spent the last, I was in cuts, and then we hit periods during the pandemic where stress just went crazy, like when they shut down my wife's business.
Yep.
And I gained like 15 pounds in 2 months, not being a glutton, but it's really easy to bounce back up in weight. And then you're like, I'm going to go down to 2,500 calories. Well, my lifestyle changed, and I'm not losing weight at a pace that I want to lose weight. So I bump it down to 22, and I'm only losing like 1 pound a week, and I want to lose more than that. So I bump it down to 2,000. Is it fun? No. It's not fun. But I'm on like day 8 at 2,000 calories, and I'm acclimating. Like I'm mentally able to handle it. I don't feel like I'm going to die. But the key thing is to get all the crap foods out of your life.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Best home-based quad and hamstring equipment. I made a video on this yesterday. The Sissy Squat machine, in my opinion, if you're going to buy a piece of quad equipment, is the best. I have a leg extension, leg curl machine in there. It's like the home gym stuff is too rattly and walky and wobbly. You really got to buy a quality piece of equipment. I wish I would not have spent $400 on that. Hamstring equipment, Robert, get a back extension machine and do glute ham raises on.
Yeah.
Like when you come up out of the back extension, go up on your knees and raise your torso up.
Yeah, do that. I mean, one of those exercise balls, the Swiss balls or whatever, you can do lying leg curls on that, or just put 2 hand towels under your feet, do them on the hard floor. Suspension trainer could be good for doing hamstring curls that way too. Home-based quad and dumbbells for Bulgarian split squats and reverse lunges and things like that. I mean, you don't have to get fancy. Free weights do a damn good job on their own. Like I have a Sissy Squat machine, like Steve said. That's about the only leg-centric piece I have outside of typical free weights.
I want to get a leg press, for the home gym, or some kind of a leg training device just to flex out options. But I'm really happy with the Sissy Squat as a backup. I can do lunges, I can do Bulgarian split squats, Sissy squats, even supersets. So, Robert, we're going to begin and look at the results from our joint supplement. Do we call it massive joint or massive flex? And you guys can still chime in if you want. joint, bar bending brew, massive joint, massive joint, massive flex, massive joint flex, massive joint, massive flex, massive joint.
No, he said iron joint. That doesn't count as massive.
Iron joint.
I like iron joint. That's a good one.
So I guess maybe we could create a massive joint supplement and a massive flex. What could we make that would fit the massive flex that's not a massive joint?
We could either make it a different type of joint formula, that's one that's complementary to the existing massive joint, or we could make it like a muscle building supplement.
Yeah. So I think joint has a small lead, but we'll take votes.
It's probably going to go with joint.
Cheers from Poland. Thanks for tuning in. Thoughts on Ghost pre-workout?
It's a solid formula. I like a little bit more caffeine in it, but I mean overall, the last time I read it, the profile Ghost. There we go. Let me see. I like their gaming pre-work, their gaming supplement. I mean that's a solid gaming supplement. Ghost Legend. Here we go. All right, so we've got 4 grams L-citrulline, good dose on that. 3.2 beta-alanine, good dose on that. 1,500 milligrams nitrosogene, very good dose on that. 50 milligrams Synactive, 1,000 milligrams of tyrosine, that's good. I'd like to see 2 grams, but a gram is fine. Gram of taurine, good. 300 milligrams of alpha-GPC, giving you actually 50, so 150 milligrams because 50% yield. 250 milligrams natural caffeine, 100 milligrams of theobromine, 50 milligrams of estrogen, and 1.5 milligrams of Rowolfia root extract, which is going to be standardized typically at a 90% alpha-yohimbine. They're getting, 1.4, 1.3, somewhere around that, of actual alpha-yohimbine. Yeah, it's a solid formula. If you're looking for something in the sub 300 milligram caffeine range, you could do far worse than Ghost. And so it's a solid product.
All right, Joy Pass is saying my questions are skipped. We mentioned this at the beginning of every video. That's YouTube. Your question might be too long. And I'm not saying that for certain, but we're not skipping your questions. So either send it to me via email, benthebarman@gmail.com, on Instagram @benthebarman, or try to repost it in a shorter message. Robert, it's funny. Usually I tell people to slide into my DM.
Mm-hmm.
And I had somebody educate me on YouTube comments saying, Big Hairy Ugly Dude, I want you to know that sliding into the DM can have sexual connotations. Like, yeah, I know. That's why it's funny.
There we go.
I try to be humorous, Robert. I try.
It's falling flat, Steve. Falling flat, apparently.
Craig says yes. So Craig, I think, is responding to that. Any opinion on G Fuel?
It's a decent energy booster. They recently opened up the entire supplement facts panel. I have a tub or 2 here. I mean, the flavors are great. They gives you a decent kick in energy. Is it this great all-encompassing nootropic powerhouse? No. But if you're looking for just something that gives you a solid boost in energy and focus, yeah. I mean, it's a fine supplement to use. The cost isn't too bad either. I think you get 40 servings or 30 servings for $30, something like that. But yeah, the flavors are great. I use it in the afternoon sometimes if I need a little pick me up.
So Robert, I got a couple questions on email that came in earlier from Daniel. Daniel gave you like $5 a couple weeks ago to strip.
Says 5 Swedish dollars. See Sweden?
Yeah. Good morning, fellow humans. Steve, what has running taught you about lifting? Wow. I don't know that running has taught me. I think the main thing is that when I ran too much, I wanted to lift, that I liked lifting more than I like running. That doesn't mean I don't like running. But in running 10, 12 hours a week, I got away from what I love most, and that's lifting. So I'm rebalancing that right now. But beyond that, not a lot. And how do I overcome fear of heavy weights? This is, how do I overcome fear of heavy weights? This is an issue where dreams go to die. like, hey, I did 60-pound bench. They feel heavy. I back down a little bit. I'm going to wait till they feel light. They ain't never going to feel light. They're never going to feel light. Just because something feels heavy doesn't mean you can't lift it. And how do you overcome fear? You face it head on. You understand this is what I've got to do. You can get to the halfway point, but it's like a curve. The deeper in you get, the harder it gets. So it's like an escalating intensity curve. You're like this. It's not that hard. The deeper in you get, all of a sudden, boom. Right?
Yep.
So you have to understand that. And you have to understand that just because it feels heavy doesn't mean I can't do it. I was doing cable tricep extensions in my gym and trying to feel out, the resistance of what is challenging in my home gym. So I do 70 for 4 sets of 10, and then the next week I do 75 for 4 sets of 10. And then all of a sudden I have a reminder or an epiphany, let's just put on 140 and see what I can do. And then all of a sudden I'm doing sets of 10. So a lot of times something can feel heavy and you feel like you're at your limit, and then you're not close to your limit. So you got to do what it takes. That's as simple as that. Thanks for answering my question. You're welcome. Thanks. I got cut off. No problem. Alejandro, I'm curious if there are any benefits to doing cardio outside other than vitamin D exposure.
Yeah, it's really hard to run up a hill inside. They don't have really many hills inside.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being facetious. I'm just general enjoyment, and you're getting exposure. You're getting vitamin D exposure, but there's also studies just showing that spending time in nature helps reduce stress levels too. So that's something else in addition to the vitamin D exposure.
Yeah, we are kind of wired when we're in nature that it reduces stress, improves mood, decreases depression, decreases anxiety. And people downplay that, but that's just kind of how we're wired. We have this built-in appreciation. And when we're trapped in this box too long, I feel better outside exercising. I just feel happier.
That's what we're starting to, now that the weather is finally nice. Our Saturday upper body workouts are going to start being all outdoors again. It's going to be going back to the body weight gym workouts, like the playground outdoor gym workouts is what I meant.
And what Robert said, you can go outside and do jumping jacks or skipping rope or whatever, and that might be your form of cardio. But depending on your form of cardio, biking, running, hiking, walking, whatever, nature has inherent challenges that don't exist on a treadmill or a Stairmaster.
Uneven terrain. It's also a little bit safer, like the ground's softer, and that's easier on your joints too.
People find that a little bit unbelievable, but when a lot of my clients run, not a fair share of them, and I try to get them running off pavement, and it is like pulling teeth with many people to get them off of pavement. Like, you got to run on a trail. And here's the thing: many people say I don't have any hiking trails next to me. There are literally 100 trails within 30 minutes of where I live in Ohio. Oh. If you get a hiking app, you will find so many trails within 30 minutes of where you live.
Yeah.
Sloth Swim, thoughts on Legion Pulse pre-workout?
Legion makes some good products. Mike Matthews, I've actually had him on the Supplement Engineer podcast before. The guy that does their formulations, Curtis Frank, used to be one of the founding members of Examine.com. He was one that built the whole thing from the ground up. If I remember, Legion Pulse. I'm not a fan of the giant theanine dose that's in it. Let me pull up, because I know they changed it not too long ago. So here we go. We've got 8 grams of citrulline malate, 2-to-1 ratio. So you're getting 5 1/3 grams of L-citrulline and the remainder of malic acid. That's good. You're getting 3.6 of beta-alanine, 2.5 of betaine anhydrous. Both of those are solid dosages. The betaine's not going to confer any acute benefits. The beta-alanine will not confer any acute benefits. that's something you have to take every day till you get saturated with it. The saturation dose is 179 grams. So taking 3.2 to 3.6 grams a day, you'll reach saturation in about 8 weeks, assuming you take it every day. You're also getting 2.5 grams of betaine, which is the clinical dose on that. You're getting 300 milligrams of alpha size, so 150 milligrams of actual alpha GPC. You get 350 caffeine, which is a really solid dose, but then you get 350 milligrams of theanine. I've gone through a tub or two of this. It is, I don't get much of an energy boost, and like I mentioned earlier, I like something to kick me in the teeth. That big of a dose of theanine, if you're somebody that's super stim sensitive, it might be beneficial for you. For me, I don't like that because it just makes me feel very flat. I don't get any, noticeable increases in energy or anything like that. So it could be good for some people. I'm not a big fan of it.
Thanks, Robert. Physique update when? Me or Robert?
Probably you, because
Yeah, I mean, the past year I'm not posting. I'm purposely doing a magic trick because, I want to get to my 100-mile run and surprise people with my conditioning. Like not just being able to run, but what I look like. So I'm not posting a lot of lifts. I'm not posting a lot of workouts. I'm not posting a lot of pictures because I did that for a long time when I was at Tiger Fitness, like every day. And honestly, it gets old. I mean, I look back sometimes at all the constant picture posting of myself, and I'm like, part of me was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I look like in the mirror. And it was like when you go from a fat ass that's depressed and way out of shape and you wake up one day and you look good, like you can't believe how you look in the mirror sometimes. Mm-hmm. But those days are beyond me. And right now I have a specific goal and I want to get to that end goal. And that end goal is to fuck Frank Grillo up. Because Frank Grillo is 55 and he looks better than me right now. And I want to be bigger. I want to be more badass. I want to be able to run. And I want to make him look like, I want to make him say, I want to make him email me. Say, I want to look like you want. I want to look like you.
There you go.
But you'll get a physique update when I'm ready. When I'm ready to, like, I don't want to just come back out and be the douchebag. Like, hey, here's me benching 225 by 10 in the gym, and here's my pecs. Right?
Yeah.
Been there, done that. I want to come out and say, what the fuck? And I got a magic trick that I worked that I didn't work today, Robert. Like when I let the beard grow out a little bit, I age like 10 years and I look like 15 years older. If I'd go shave right now and come back, my face would look like, can I show you guys the magic trick real quick? Can I show you the magic trick? Ready, Robert?
Do it.
Hold on tight, kids. Let's see. Let's share. Okay. That's earlier in the week. Does my face look thinner? On the right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I can notice the difference, but like that's what happens with a week of beard growth. All right, anyway, my favorite thing in the world is a fully vaccinated individual wearing a mask alone in the car driving towards me while texting.
There you go.
And they probably have a McDonald's bag in the seat next to him. Do you think David Lade is natty or not? I don't know who David. I mean, I know the name, but what's achievable. I can tell you what's achievable. And 17-inch arms is achievable. 26-inch legs is achievable. It's going to take a lot of work, but being super shredded year round, that's really hard work. It's going to take a lot of hard work. I don't know who David Lade is, beyond the name, but I don't want to speculate. But I can tell you what is achievable. sanitizer, social distancing. Do this on a daily basis, and you won't need a vaccine. Eat right. Take care of yourself.
Exercise, get vitamin D.
But even then, you could be immunocompromised. Who knows? It's D. Regular Friday, cardio, max safe reps, and of course, Big Hairy Ugly Dude and Robert. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Faz says, I remember discussing ancient Greek philosophy with you. That was my favorite era, too. All the old good conversations. I'm stoic as fuck at the gym. I don't do small talk at the gym. Man, this is probably something that pisses my wife off, but if we're working out in the same gym, like that small space, leave me the fuck alone. Like I'm in my place,
Yeah. Sandy likes to have chit chat, or she'll be thinking about 16 other things outside of what we're trying to do, and she thinks I'm being an asshole, and you can't talk to me, or just don't just focus on the shit that you're doing. If it's not related to working out, because she'll say, I wonder what my students are doing, or I got this text message from mom. I don't give a shit about any of that. When it's time to squat, lunge, do a pull-up, a row, focus. That is my 1 hour to just annihilate myself. Let me just do that. Then we can deal with all the other bullshit. But the gym is sacred. The workout is sacred. Don't fuck with the workout.
There's a couple dimensions. Like men tend to be better at focusing on one thing. It's our genetics, our DNA.
Yeah.
And women like to do 7 different things at a time. And like for me, I should win an award for this. I ran 10 hours a week with my wife alone in the woods for a year. And I will tell you, during that time, 98.7% of the conversation was my wife. And I probably said in a year of running 10 hours a week, probably like 72 words. And my wife at like 72 trillion words. Women tend to talk a lot more. And I just want to be Ron. So after like a year, I said, baby, I love you, but I need to run on my own now. Not because I didn't want to hear her talk, but because I enjoy the experience of being alone in the gym or running and being able to challenge myself and not think about the world or Susie Snowflake or what's for dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just microaggress snowflakes everywhere.
Microaggression, toxic masculinity. Andre the Giant, the Iron Sheik, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, some good choices. Ultimate Warrior, a massive flex for the win. You invade Canada, come visit. I can't wait till we can actually travel again like a normal, sane world.
Well, the CDC came out and said, hey, you don't need to wear a mask inside anymore.
Oh, wait. If you're vaccinated, Robert,
How are they going to know? I haven't been wearing a mask for this whole time. So.
Show me your papers, Robert.
Yeah, we saw how well that worked out back in the 40s.
Yeah. Massive Live has answered so many questions. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. And Paladin Dance, do you need your previous volume and strength levels to reach your old muscle mass after a layoff?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I mean, when you've had a long layoff, it's super easy to return to your old levels. Like you can do it accidentally, really, really quickly within a short period of time. I think you need to come pretty close. I don't think you can just go into the gym and be benching 135 and expect all the mass to come back. But I don't think there's a lot of science on it, but I would say you need to be pretty close. An exercise you love until you are doing it. Mine is Bulgarian split squats. Squats, definitely.
Yeah. I love them and I hate them at the same time, but damn it if they don't work well.
People tell me all the time, I run out of breath on squats. Squats are super challenging. When do they get easier? And I always say never. I've been squatting for 35 years, and when I'm done, I feel like king of the world, but they never get easier. I get the Canada vibe from Robert when he says the word out.
I've heard that before. I even heard that in high school growing up, but I never I know. Well, I've been to Canada one time in 2015. We went to go see Niagara Falls. We're on the Canadian side, not the New York side. But now I've been New Orleans. That's just the way we say out in New Orleans.
Michael Coronado, I am 160. Should I bulk to 185 to help me? Okay, so I'm assuming your photo is relatively recent and you're 160 lean mean machine. What I would recommend from where you're at is trying to put on about 1.5 pounds a month. And don't do a super aggressive bulk. Take 1.5 years to slowly increase your weight. I don't know where your bench is, but I do know consistent nutrition over a long period of time will help you improve your bench. So definitely. Favorite weight training books. Robert, you have any?
Massive Iron.
The
Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I mean, I've read through those. I don't do a lot of weight training books. Most of my stuff is reading studies and whatnot these days.
I got a lot of books. I mean, I like books from the 80s and 70s on lifting. I like the modern stuff from Schoenfeld on hypertrophy.
Yeah.
I just like all lifting books. I mean, the stuff from the 50s, the stuff from the 80s. Yeah. The Muscle and Brawn archives I put together from the old Muscle and Brawn website. Got tons of great information, 359 pages. That's a wealth of information. So I would check that out as well. But, man, I got a lot of favorite lifting books. Did we cover this, Robert?
They asked a question about creatine inhibiting myostatin. And so, like, from a mechanistic standpoint, creatine has been shown to inhibit myostatin. So has epicatechin, which is a fun little bioactive that's in green tea, dark chocolate, and a few other things. The issue is that there's the potency of these things in its ability to inhibit myostatin is not of such strength that it's going to have any kind of like real world benefits to you. There's some information showing that epicatechin has increased exercise endurance and there's lean mass gains associated with that. But epicatechin also does a bunch of other cool things in the body, like increasing blood flow, increasing exercise performance, those kind of things. So can you attribute all of the improvements to its inhibition of myostatin? Not necessarily so. From like a theory and mechanistic standpoint, it's pretty cool to kind of like go down that wormhole. But should you be adding supplements that specifically target myostatin inhibition to your regimen? No.
Thanks, Robert. Slaw swim.
There we go.
All right. Message me, benthebarman@gmail.com, and I'll send you a shirt. All right. Combat Ace. Oops, where'd we go? Lazy eater, busy worker. Rudimentary meal as breakfast consisting of banana, eggs, and some bread. One big meal to cover at least TDE and protein for the day and the evening. Major downsides to that. It's shit, honestly. And I'm not trying to be hard on you, but it's a shit diet. First off, you got bread for breakfast, look, there's so many convenience foods out there. You have protein waffles, you have Greek yogurt, you have protein bars, so many foods with micronutrients. I made an egg bake that I featured on social media this week that took me all of 10 minutes to make. And, you got 140 calories in eggs, a banana, 250, some bread, maybe 400, and then you're eating at night. Shitty nutrition, shitty results. That's the downside. I'm just being honest with you. That meal, because you say you're a lazy eater, I'm assuming dinner is the same. That dinner would have to be rock star level to make up for that shit day. I mean, just honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to just kind of like maintain and get through, I mean, that's fine. If you're looking to optimize your nutrition around muscle building, it's shit like Steve said. I mean, from the research, we see that optimally support muscle growth, you want to divide your protein evenly across, 4, 5, 6 meals a day and space those out every 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement in that diet.
I mean, the thing is, like, I had a client say to me early in the week, "My Fitness Pal is too tough," and I said, "Permission to speak freely." He goes, "Sure," and I said, "You're full of shit." Like planning calories in a world where we have 8 million food options is super simple. It really is. Google convenient breakfast options.
Or make a giant ass smoothie: milk, frozen fruit, protein powder, frozen spinach, peanut butter. You're done.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good quality options. I mean, you can go to the store and get prepackaged cooked pulled pork that tastes great. It's mostly meat.
Yeah.
You can get sandwiches like with egg buns in the frozen food section at your grocery store. You can get healthy, high protein meals with all veggies at the grocery store that don't require you can get food delivery services, meal prep services. Oh my God, they're $9 a meal. It says the person doing Uber Eats for $60 at night, right? And I'm not saying Combat Aces, but that's the world we live in. I can't afford healthy eating, and then we do the $60 Uber Eats or whatever.
Yep.
So people don't bat an eye at a $20 McDonald's meal, but they will bat an eye at a couple of things like that. So
Yeah, or they'll spend $3 on an energy drink, and then they wonder why does a pre-workout cost $2 a serving instead of $1 a serving.
Right. Exactly. That's the world we live in. How do you deal with elbow joint pain? It could be elbow tendonitis. A lot of times that type of stuff is, if it's on the inside of the elbow, you get Versagrips. Beyond that, you see a doctor. So, massive joint sleep supplement. So,
Okay.
although I won't get any questions there. Not sure what that meant. Keep working out until it goes away. No. How do I deal with joint pain? Keep working out till it goes away. That solution would be number lasto. Let's see. Pringle cake. Hey, big hairy ugly. That almost won a t-shirt right there.
I love that name.
About 12 weekly sets for major muscle groups and 6 for smaller ones. Would increasing smaller to about 12 be okay? Generally, there are less. Would they be okay? We're trying the underwriting message here is arms. I see arms. Are you doing that for hamstrings? Are you doing that for calves? Are you doing that for traps? Are you doing that for forearms? You're doing that for arms, right? Can you do another exercise for arms? Yeah, you can. Just do it wisely. Have a focus on progressive overload, but don't chase volume at volume's sake. It's a long journey. Have I ever trained 12 sets weekly for arms? No, never. Would I do it for triceps? Maybe. Would I do it for biceps? Nah, I'd probably, the combination of progressive overload and overworking the biceps, not a big fan of that. With proper training and nutrition, how long till you reach 90% of your genetic limit? It took me 2.5 years. Mathematically, if we look at a natural muscle building potential of about 32 pounds, not a rule, but just somebody with 32 pounds, and you understand that they have the potential to reach about half the remaining potential each year. 16 the first year, 24 the second, 28 the third. So 28 of 32 is what, Robert? That's about 90%-ish. So about 3 years in a perfect world, in a perfect incubation environment where you're chained in my dungeon basement and I make you eat and lift and you have to do everything I say.
And play Bed Weirdos.
Play Bed Weirdos. Message you on Instagram with my questions. Thanks. I'll take a look when we are done. How to take protein shakes after workouts while maintaining normal uric acid levels?
I mean, I guess that has a way, an effect on gout. Maybe he's dealing, or he or she, I'm not sure what Idris is, what if that's a guy or a girl name, I'm not sure. I saw him. I apologize for that. Are you somebody that's dealing with the gout right now? Just from the studies side of things, typically seafood, things that are high in iodine, have been shown to have greater impacts on gout and uric acid levels, as have certain meat products. Dairy in and of itself has not been as associated with increased incidences of gout. Based on that, you could have your protein shake afterwards. I mean, are you actually monitoring? Are you doing blood draws after every workout to check your uric acid levels? I think we're majoring in the minors with this question, but I need much more context. If you're dealing with gout, that's something that needs to be addressed with a physician.
Yeah, questions like this need a lot more context, and we don't want to give out medical advice. So we need to understand what's trying to be achieved. Do you like cycling? As far as cycling goes, I used to cycle. I actually worked at a GNC when I was 20, Robert.
Mm-hmm. They had them back then in the 60s?
Yeah, they did. And I would, it was 20 miles away. I would cycle to work and cycle back every day. But nah, it's not my favorite. Not my favorite. For everyone, become a member. You can get through the questions more easily. We can see more easily as well. 10 years younger in that picture, I think so. But gyms are closed here again. Sorry to hear that. I still have creatine left over. Should I take massive iron creatine on my workout days and use regular creatine on my rest days? That's an interesting question, Robert. I mean, with the added ingredients in creatine plus, is there any downsides to taking that every other day?
No. Ideally you take it every day, but you still got some leftover creatine, so don't put that to waste either. I like his schedule of taking the massive iron creatine on the training days and the leftover creatine on the non-training days. So yeah, that's a perfectly viable way of doing things.
Perfect. I'm still kind of into the disbelief stage for my own recomp when I kind of surreal. So the thing here, let me see if I gotcha. I gotcha, man. Let's show the world what TB is talking about here. TB, I was talking about earlier when you wake up one day and you look completely different, right? And this gentleman has done so. And I got his picture somewhere up on my Instagram. Here we go. So I'm going to share. Lock and load, lock and load. Okay, so I'm going to remove this so you can see it better. This is TB then. And this is him now. You can see a lot leaner, a lot more muscular. So a completely different guy. So
good work.
Yeah, he's saying he's kind of at that stage where you look in the mirror and you're like, who dat? Must be just be good lighting, right? And you start taking pictures and you're like, nah, I actually look good. Whoops. Thoughts on DUP full body for novice? Overthinking. A novice does not need dual undulating periodization nor any other form of periodization. Simple as that. A novice needs to become proficient at barbell exercises to work on form. A novice that wants hypertrophy needs to work on dumbbells and maybe machines because they're more efficient at building muscle early on. And a novice just needs good nutrition and consistency. A novice doesn't need dual undulating periodization at all.
No.
You just ignore that. So I guess preparing meals in a weekend solution. Not necessarily on the weekends, man, but that helps. I mean, the egg bake I put together, I literally tossed in some already diced veggies from the supermarket and some eggs and put it in the oven. It's done in 20 minutes. I didn't do shit. So it's not just weekend. It's just finding foods that are efficient to make.
Yeah, meal prep strategies and things like that.
Ever seen those old training videos of Arthur Jones training Boyer Cole? That stuff is cool.
Sink.
Oh, my wife just brought me in. We're all done. We're all done. So that's it. That's it.
Check out Joy's questions from the ones that she sent you.
What's that?
Joy sent you some questions on your Instagram, she said.
I'll check those when I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I'll just respond to Instagram personally. So the old stuff with Boyer Co. Yeah, some of the old training videos are cool. So that's it, guys. We appreciate your support. We got done under 3 hours. I appreciate everybody tuning in to Massive Iron Live. I appreciate Robert tolerating all the questions every single week. What's going on, Sexy Joe? So we're out of here. Robert, what are you doing this weekend?
Doing a lot of work because I got to get some product pages done for some clients. Then tomorrow afternoon we're going out with a couple of teachers from Sandy's school that she teaches at, and we're going to try out a new the South Austin Beer Garden where they have, I think, 300 beers on tap and some draft cocktails. So I'll try some beers. Ooh, last week we went and tried a new brewery for the first time, Front Yard Brewing. I had a delicious barrel-aged coffee porter. So good. 9.5%. Delicious.
9.5%. Yeah, that's my wheelhouse. Train for hypertrophy before strength. You can't have hypertrophy without strength. They're the same process. Progressive overload is going to involve strength. We ain't doing. She's working all day. She's got 9 hours of classes to teach tomorrow, and I'll be working on my cookbook and getting up on client messages. So that's about it.
There we go.
Grinding and making sure Massive Creatine Plus orders are fulfilled. All right, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll be here every Friday at 11 Eastern. We'll see you next week, Robert. Thanks.
See you.